Is
Africa, how does somebody walk?
Can you imagine? He's already done it. He's done 8 countries so far, and he's doing more. Yeah, on foot, traversing
so that means
the land.
When he reaches a place like where there's an ocean, what happens?
He finds his way past it. You know, even if it means him canoeing his way.
Underwater.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll get to be listening to that. It's going to be very interesting, but for a worthy cause. Now, always a pleasure to have you join us. This is Good Morning Kenya. My name is Marie Yambo. Now, it promises to be an eventful week, of course, with the opposition party Azimio la Umoja vowing to intensify its protest to 3 days, starting Wednesday, against what they term as the high cost of living. But the government is hearing none of it and promises to deal decisively with those out to cause mayhem. Now, details of the planned Azimio protest in the news this morning. Also this morning, Chief Justice Martha Koome will preside over the swearing-in of Mary Wanyonyi as the chairperson of the Commission of Revenue Allocation, that is the CRA, while the ICT and Digital Economy Cabinet Secretary, that is Eliud Owalo, will be signing an MOU with UNDP to boost government's capacity to drive digital transformation in the country. Now, details in our subsequent bulletins, but first, let's have the news. Thank you for joining us. Now, Interior Cabinet Secretary Professor Kithure Kindiki has maintained that all state officers, whether serving or retired, must respect the rule of law. Professor Kindiki says those in public office should be allowed to execute the mandate without resorting to blackmail, sabotage, and other means meant to derail their work. Now, Yusuf Farah begins our bulletin this morning.
Interior Cabinet Secretary Professor Kithure Kindiki, who joined worshippers at the Kano Catholic Church in Tharaka Nithi County, said all persons, including former political leaders and public office holders, have an obligation to follow the law to the latter.
So wasituone kama sisi ni wajinga, tumewasamea, lakini haiwezekani ati mtu akiwa pale nje ndio anatoa pesa ya kuenda kulipa vijana kuvuruga serikali.
Professor Kindiki added that the government has not banned rallies in public gatherings.
We smoke people hiding under the constitution to commit crimes, to hurt other people, to paralyze businesses of innocent people who wake up every day to try and make a living for their children.
Elsewhere, Laikipia County Senator John Kinyo is calling for the establishment of a compensation program to cushion families whose loved ones have been killed during suspected bandit attacks. A national police reservist and a businessman in Laikipia West constituency were killed in the latest incident.
Familia hii itaangaliwa kivipi? Kwa hivyo tungetaka serikali iwe na mikakati maalum ya kuweza kufidia watu ambao wako katika NPR.
And leaders in Turkana County are calling for an end to the killings by suspected armed attackers on the Kitale-Lodwar highway.
Hakuna faida tumepata kwa kufukuzana kwa sababu ya ng'ombe moja. Ile tumepata ni kuuana, ni kunyang'anyana mali na watoto kutoenda shuleni.
Tushirikiane pamoja ili tuweze kutatua mambo haya. Na mimi niko mstari wa mbele nikiwa hata kuhakikisha kwamba Turkana will be safe and Turkana will be more safe.
The leaders spoke during the burial of the late Ann Ikai, who died after the lorry she was traveling in was shorted several times. 2 people who survived the attack are still nursing injuries.
Thank you, Yusuf Farah, for that report. Now, leaders allied to the ruling Kenya Kwanza Alliance now say the anti-government protest by the Raila Odinga-led Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition is not about the cost of living, but rather a means to force sharing of power. Now, the leaders who gathered at the African Independent Pentecostal Church of Africa in Nairobi's Bahati Estate say the only way to lower the cost of living is to subsidize it. Now, but as given some minor reports, Raila Odinga's allies maintain that the picketing is a constitutional right.
The Kenya Kwanza leaders on Sunday continued to castigate the opposition over the violence that characterized their demos across the country. At AIPCA church service in Bahati, Nairobi, President William Ruto's call for stoppage of the demos was backed by Nairobi Governor Johnson Sakaja and his counterparts from Nyandarua and Laikipia.
That cycle of maandamano will end. Ile mnaogopa itafanyika Wednesday, haitafanyika. Ile mnaogopa itafanyika Thursday, haitafanyika. Biashara zenu zitaendelea.
Ile fertilizer tulitolewa 7,000 mpaka 3,500. And that is the only formula to bring the prices of goods down.
Uharibu vitu yetu si kusema ya kwamba ati bei ya uga itapugua kwa sababu ya kuharibu mali. Ile itafanya ni itashagia kuongezea bei kwa sababu wale bado wataitishwa ushuru wa kutengeneza zile mali itakuwa imeharibiwa ni sisi.
The Kenya Kwanza leaders accused the opposition of using the cost of living as a tool to push their political agenda.
Hii mambo ya maandamano is a political issue. The solution is political issue. The solution is politics.
Tusiingie katika mtego wa hawa watu kwa sababu wanataka tuingie hiyo mtego ili sasa kusijulikane nani anapigana na ni nani anafanya hivi.
You don't have roro uchukue mawe na bunduki na nini na mshale. The government is ready to deal with every situation that will come firmly and decisively for the benefit of the people of Kenya. But we are asking our friends on the other side, there is time for you to change your mind because it's possible to do so.
In West Pokot County, Kenya Kwanza allied leaders called for punishment of those causing chaos.
Yule hata kama alikuwa ni mtoto ya maskini enye baba yake haijulikani na nani haijulikani, wako na haki ya kutengeneza serikali.
The Clergy Association also expressed concerns over the anarchy witnessed in the demos.
We are not going to allow this country to go to an extent where it can be destroyed or where it can be handed over to the hands of the army. We are not going that way.
However, speaking in Makueni County, Azimio Senator Daniel Manzo said the right to protest is protected in the Constitution.
You remember when Honorable Raila Odinga got sworn as the people's president, the police did not interfere with them and nobody died.
We will not allow you to kill our people. We will not allow you to maim our people. We will not allow you to steal, to vandalize all what we have. The just highway was built the other day, our pride. You just brought it down. So this will not be allowed.
Everson Maina for that report. Now, Wiper Democratic Movement leader, that is Kalonzo Musyoka, now says Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition is contemplating instituting a criminal case against the Inspector General of Police at the International Criminal Court over the death of civilians during peaceful demonstrations. Speaking in Mwingi, Kitui County, where he attended a Sunday service, Kalonzo said Azimio has been holding peaceful demonstrations and meetings across the country, but things go south whenever the police are involved. Now, leaders accompanying the vice president vowed to continue with demonstrations in the coming week to force the government to listen to the plight of Kenyans.
Which sits at The Hague. And the rules of engagement are very clear. The person or persons bearing the highest responsibility, yani yule mwenye mamlaka, ikiwa ni juu ya timu ya polisi ambao wanaua wananchi kwa kupiga risasi kama swara, yule ambaye ametoa hiyo amri ndiye atakuwa held responsible, and of course individual responsibility as well.
Amefunga masikio, tukiongea asikii, wananchi wakilia asikii.
President William Ruto has urged African nations to capitalize on the institutional reforms momentum at the African Union to deliver their Pan-African transformation. Ruto emphasized the need for African Union self-funding drive to its continental transformation agenda, driven by its own people, leaders, and resources.
Was the fifth mid-year coordination meeting of the African Union at the UN complex in Gigiri, Nairobi, President William Ruto said it is possible to build a more integrated prosperous and stable Africa Free Trade Area free of external funding.
You may want to know that that decision has now been implemented by 17 countries. We need to persuade all our other brothers and sisters in the other countries to come on board so that we can do the responsible thing and fund our own organization. Similarly, it is time to free up the Africa Union from structural and organizational constraints, including duplication and other inefficiencies, thereby facilitating it to be effective on a greater scale.
The head of state pointed out that the African Continental Free Trade Area would be the world's largest free trade area with 54 countries if all nations committed to the cause.
The free trade area is projected to lift 30 million people out of extreme poverty and boost incomes by 7% or US dollars 450 billion by 2035.
Leaders present, who included Africa Union Chairperson Ismail Gwele of Djibouti and African Union Commission Chairperson Moussa Faki, emphasized continental peace and regional integration.
Meanwhile, we see renewed conflict and extremist terrorism are wreaking havoc across the continent, resulting in lost decades of development and millions of displaced persons and refugees. These calamities are leaving a generation of our young people, especially women, with the anxiety of a tortured present and a deeply uncertain future.
In this context, therefore, I would like to express here our total solidarity with our sister countries which are today going through these crisis situations, and at the same time renew our call to silencing the guns.
The leaders of the regional economic communities, and those that have not yet done so, to ratify the protocol. We need to get out of this flagrant contradiction that is to have AFCFTA and also not to have the freedom of movement and goods.
The summit was a call to member states to align their work and coordinate the implementation of the continental integration agenda, as well as assessing the status of continental integration and coordinate efforts to accelerate the integration process.
Thank you, Bentroy Njue, for that report. Now, it was celebrations and dance in Naudo area of Silale Ward, that is Tiati constituency, after the opening of the first ever church since independence in an area perceived to be a bandit's haven in Baringo County. Women, men and Morans congregated to witness the auspicious occasion.
The locals could not hide their joy as they mingled, singing worship songs as leaders and the clergy laid the first cornerstone towards construction of the church. Through Christian Impact Mission, led by Bishop Titus Masika, said the presence of the church will help the residents embrace change and abandon retrogressive cultures such as cattle rustling, female genital mutilation and early marriages.
In our package of ministry, we have church. The next thing we have is mindset change. We develop curriculum to change the people's mindset. And that's why we take a lot of time to understand the thinking and the feeling and the values of a community.
Silale is one of the underdeveloped wards in Tiati, with a high illiteracy level at 98%.
Angalia tu, tumia majo. Ili thibitisho tosha ambao sasa serikali lazima waone. Thibitisho tosha kwamba watu wote wanavaa shanga bado wako na ile tamaduni ya zamani, kwa sababu haujawahi kushishwa na maneno ya serikali. Ndio sasa tunasema tafadhali tuingie Silale, tuingie all corners, tuhakikishe kwamba hao watu wapata elimu, tuhakikishe kwamba this world is open na wajiunge na Wakenya wengine.
Tumewajwa hapa kama watu wabana, watu yatima, kwa sababu hakuna serikali ametukaribia. Hakuna serikali ametukaribia. Ndio tukao watu ndio tukaa watu wa msituni. Hakuna mwenye amekuja tuongelesha, hakuna mwenye ametufanyia maendeleo chochote.
The locals stand up with their livestock which they auctioned to the leaders to raise funds to construct the church.
Watu walikuwa wakisema Silale ni mbaya. Sio mbaya. Ni vile aliwachwa kwa kaburi ya kusahau. Hii ni maajabu serikali ama kanisa hiche hapa. Hii sasa ni kama Silale wamefufuka kama vile Yesu alifufuka.
Women who used to engage in brewing illicit liquor also transformed and surrendered their equipment at the church.
The problem in Tiaty is enormous. The problem of insecurity in this region is enormous, and its reach stretches far back many years, 100 years. We realize the greatest formula of breaking the circle of any culture is also to deal with children, so that they learn a new way of doing things and a new value system.
Since independence, the entire Silale ward has never had a church, school, hospital, or any other social amenities. In 1954, missionaries had introduced a church only for those who attended to be killed in what came to be known as Kolowa massacre. Since then, residents had believed that no good could come out of a church. Baringo County Governor Benjamin Cheboy and Tiaty Member of Parliament William Kamket said they are on a mission to rebrand Silale and Baringo through education and Christianity to facilitate development.
It is our responsibility as a leadership of Baringo County to bring peace all over. And one of the ways of bringing peace is to ensure that the lifestyles of the people here change.
We must completely move away from all the negative connotations ambazo tumewekewa kama watu wa Tiaty. Na njia mojawapo ya kufanya hiyo kazi ni kujenga kanisa, kujenga mashule, kujenga mabarabara, kuongeza maji.
Beatrice Gatonye reporting there. Now, the government has called on Form 4 leavers who scored a mean grade of C plane in their Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education, that is KCSE, to apply for diploma courses in teachers training colleges, are now announcing the opening of the application portal. Education Cabinet Secretary Ezekiel Machogo said 13,437 vacancies are up for grabs across 32 public teachers training colleges. Now 11,358 slots for diploma in primary teacher education are available, and 2,081 in diploma in early childhood teacher education course. Now those who meet the qualifications should send their applications via the Kenya Universities and Colleges Central Placement Service website before the deadline, which is on the 28th of July 2023. The CS spoke at the Kangaroo Boys High School in Embu County during the Manyata Constituency Education and Career Day.
Kwa sababu tulikuwa tunasema diploma, apart from one getting a C, again there was what we call a cluster where they were required to get a C in mathematics, a C in English language, a C in one of the sciences, and a C in one of the social sciences. Lakini sasa hiyo kikwazo, the Presidential Working Party, which is likely to present its recommendations and report to His Excellency the President of the Republic of Kenya anytime from now, imesema as long as you have a C. Kwa hivyo watoto waapply kwenda hapo.
Kuna wale wangependa kuwa walimu wa primary general subjects na kuna wale wanataka kufanya special education. Yote iko katika mtandao. We have 13,000 vacancies. This is a change from what was there before, kwa sababu ilikuwa lazima ungepata zile subjects, lakini tumeondoa zile subjects. Tuko na 32 colleges in the country, zile zimesimamiwa, zile za serikali, na zinachukua wale wangependa kujifunza kuwa walimu wa primary.
Now, moving on, the Kenya Revenue Authority has urged the public to register on the electronic tax invoice management system, terming it convenient, time-saving and accurate. Now, the tax agency noted that the invoices are electronically validated, signed, and details are transmitted to the tax portal on real-time basis. Now, KRA partnered with the Kenya Broadcasting Corporation in a 3-day roadshow that ended yesterday to create awareness of the new system in streamlining revenue collection.
Kenya Revenue Authority KRA and Kenya Broadcasting Corporation intensified the ATMIS awareness roadshow within the city, its environs and nearby Kajiado County. Velma Miguta, KRA officer from the Electronic Tax Invoice Management System Operations Office, said the activation of the system was to create awareness of the software from the grassroots. She noted that lack of awareness to the system hampered the efficiency in streamlining revenue collection.
Teams as a software is a free software that we will install either in your laptop, desktop, mobile phone or your tablet. All you need to do have any of these gadgets we've mentioned, then the installations will be done for free. If the invoices are not transmitted, it forces the taxpayer to actually key in the invoices one by one. So going forward, after we have rolled out the auto-population of the VAT return, the time, or rather the time spent on filing the return will be minimized. So we are going to have minimized time for filing the returns because we are going to roll out the auto-population of the VAT return. And again, we are also going to have faster processing of VAT refunds.
KBC Assistant Branding Manager Alex Karega said informing the public on taxation matters will enhance compliance.
Our main mandate was to sensitize Nairobians about the new platform, which is called eTIMS. This is a transition from the Kawaida ETR that people are used to. So we were targeting every VAT holders. These are small businesses, big businesses, as long as they do their returns. And the reception has been good. Let me say it's a new thing, but generally, as a country, we're moving to the digital world. So at times it's good to just let them know that as long as you want to be more efficient, even in doing your business, you have to adapt some of the new things which are coming up.
Nicholas Teres was one of the members of the public who registered on the new system.
Naona ni njia rahisi sana, inapunguza hata laini kupanga laini kwa KRA office, na ni fastest, unaweza fanya kutoka at your comfort of your house kuliko kwenda kupanga laini kwa KRA.
The ETMIS awareness caravan made different stopovers, enlightening the public on the new system and doing registrations. The public was thrilled with performances from artists and goodies from the tax agency.
Michael Mwadiga reporting. Now, members of the society have been asked not to abandon children born with disability. Now, speaking at the Mercy Home of the Poor in Kithioko, Machakos County during a baptismal ceremony of 3 children adopted at the home, Reverend Father Peter of the Diocese of Machakos said such children need love and a caring family. Now, the home, run by a Catholic nun, Sister Mary Musembe, takes care of abandoned people suffering from memory loss.
It was a rare occasion at the Mercy Servants of the Poor home in Kithioko, Machakos County. Today, 3 children were being baptized. The children joined 20 other members of the family of the unknown, all of whom suffer from memory loss.
Nawahimiza wale ambao wako na watoto wawatunze, usimtupe mtoto, mtunze na uombe Mungu aweze kukujalia. Emmanuel, na kubatiza kwa jina la Baba na la Mwana na la Roho Mtakatifu zote.
The infants being baptized were abandoned at the Kenyatta National Hospital by their guardians. Sister Musembi has now undertaken the process of giving them names and a religion.
So far we have now 22, but there are 25. We have lost 1. 2 have reunited with their families.
And on this day, well wishes from a lay Catholic organization, St. Vincent de Paul Society, St. Veronica Catholic Church Conference, were here adopting the 3 infants as godparents. They call for more well wishes to come out and support the home that lacks key infrastructural facilities.
Can this home have electricity? We are informed that they've applied for it, but it's taken years. would request and appeal to the requisite authorities to ensure that this home has that supply.
The day ended with more celebrations.
Thank you, Tilio Marco, for that report. Now, a section of police officers drawn from different parts of the country moved a crowd in Meru town when they put aside their guns to preach the gospel. Now, the officers said the week-long crusade held in different parts of Meru town was aimed at spreading peace among the residents. Details in our County News Roundup. Well, apologies for that technical hitch. We now go to sports, where Kenya's Lilian Kasait finished second in the women's 3,000 meters at the 8th meet of the 2023 Diamond League in Silesia, Poland. Now, Ethiopia's Hailo Freweni won the race after clocking 8 minutes, 26.61 seconds, while compatriot Hailo Lemlem settled for third position in 8 minutes, 29.43 seconds. Commonwealth champion, that is Mary Mora, won the women's 800 meters after clocking 1 minute 56.85 seconds, relegating Nakai Halima and Gol Topin Natoya to second and third positions, respectively. Now, South Africa's Akani Simbine won the men's 100 meters in 9.97 seconds, ahead of reigning world champion, that is Fred Kelly, and Cameroon's Emmanuel Esseme, who completed the podium dash.
Sabini was there as well, as you see the first four across the line in a photo.
Moi High School Biruri retained the Embu County boys football title after defeating former champions, that is St. Paul's Kavote, 1-0 in a closely contested final played at the University of Embu grounds. In the girls category, Kangaroo girls were crowned champions after humbling Archangels, that is Kanyori, 4-3 in post-match penalties after a barren draw in regulation time.
Two-time champions Moi High School Biruri lifted their third county title with a hard-fought 1-0 win over perennial nemesis St. Paul's Kavote. The win extended Biruri's dominance in boys football. In the girls category, Kangaroo girls were crowned champions after trouncing Archangels Kanyueri 4-3 in post-match penalties after a barren draw in normal time. In volleyball, Kamutu boys thrashed Kangaroo School by 3 straight sets of 25-19, 25-17 and 25-14, while in girls volleyball, St. Anne's Keriare defeated Ngonyomo by 3 straight sets of 25-18, 25-22 and 25-17.
Kulingana na mwaka yenye tulikuwa mwaka ya jana, naweza sema timu zote kutoka kwa sub county and the county even na hata kwa zonals, timu zote tunaona walikuwa wameprepare vizuri, lakini vijana wangu walijiandaa kweli kweli. Tumepiga zoezi ya na tunashukuru Mungu hatujapoteza game yoyote.
Ni achievement kidogo, hata kama tulikuwa tunatarajia kutoka kwa finali, tulikuwa tuna hope tutaenda hadi regionals. The last time St. Paul's tulikuwa kwa finali kama hii ilikuwa in 2018. So it is since 2018, hizo ni miaka 5 ni hatujakuwa kwa county games, tulikuwa tunagongwa zonals.
We want to thank also St. Paul's Kavote. It was a worthy opponent, and but we were better than them. And we have won all the matches. We only drew in one. We have done a lot of investment in this team. Our coaches had sleepless nights.
The winners will represent Embu County in the regional competition in Machakos County next week.
Vid Karanja reporting. Now we go to golf, where Krish Patel emerged the overall winner as the curtains came down on the inaugural Kalmar Open Golf Tournament played at the Par 71 Nyali Golf and Country Club in Mombasa. Now the one-day tournament attracted 180 golfers.
Playing off handicap 21, Krish Patel posted 43 points to emerge the overall winner despite the chilly weather. Patel managed to score 20 points on the first 9 holes and 23 points on the second 9 holes. The men's category was won by Amin Haji, playing off handicapped 18 after posting 42 points. He scored 19 points on the first 9 holes and 23 points on the second to win the title. The runners-up award went to Sanjay Kotecha after he posted 38 points on countback. Veteran golfer Amar Harvey scooped the men's third award after posting 38 points on countback, playing off handicapped 14. Joyce Masai won the ladies' title after posting 40 points, playing off handicap 14 and scoring 17 points on the first 9 holes and 23 points on the second 9 holes. The one-day tournament attracted 180 golfers.
This is a tournament sponsored by ourselves, Power Parts, and Kalmar, our principals, who are the world's leading port equipment manufacturers, and we are agency at Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Djibouti, Eritrea, Zanzibar, and we do market their equipments here.
Thank you so much for tuning in. That's where I end the news this morning, but don't go away. Good Morning Kenya still continues. Victor Olo, I beg your pardon, is on standby. Our guests are in studio. It's Eye on Politics just after this short break.
Every Monday evening, we take you back where the action happened live. We'll let you know what you missed, even if you were present.
And our goal is to continue supporting our own.
From the latest celebrity buzz,
fashion,
music,
and all manner of youth talents,
the Grapevine cameras rove all week to bring you the latest in the enormous entertainment scene.
Watch Grapevine every Monday at 10 p.m. and the rerun on Tuesday at 2 p.m. only on KBC Channel 1, baby.
Engage us on Facebook and Twitter, hashtag Grapevine on KBC. Let us know what is happening in your area code, because you know what they say, if you did not see it on Grapevine,
then it most probably never happened. Bah!
Ain't nobody gotta tell you what you gotta do.
This is the show that keeps you updated on everything you need to know about technology.
Digital resilience is about organizations being able to continue to operate despite negative impacts that they've experienced.
The subject digital transformation, we keep talking about it, but very many people fail to understand that.
Twitter's removal of blue ticks is forcing accounts to find new ways to prove authenticity as concerns over copycats mount. At the same time, Elon Musk has given blue ticks to a few celebrities who didn't ask for one, such as writer Stephen King and Larry Madowo, for free.
Click on Tech every Monday at 10:30 p.m. on KBC Channel 1. Stay tuned.
Wewe mbona uko hivi? Mbona una aibu ndogo ndogo hivi?
Bebe, basi hii ndio shida yangu kubwa hii.
Nani aliyekwenda kumwambia shemeji kuhusu mambo yako na Laba?
Nani mwingine kama si huyo dadangu alotoka kwenye Aila Visa?
Naona kama huyo Aunty Billy ana mambo yake. Kila siku mambo yanazidi kuwa mazito.
Yaani wewe huwezi kukaa bila kusumbua mtu, sio?
Najua yote ni plani yako.
KBC.
In 2014, after several tests, he was diagnosed with kidney failure.
But the doctor was like, your son, HB is at 3 instead of the 12, the normal 12. Your son, calcium is 0. By then he had become so lazy, walking was an issue. For him even to put on shoes, he could just sit down and put on his school shoes.
Several dialysis sessions only seemed to worsen his health, and so the family opted for a kidney transplant. Finding a donor was not easy, but luckily, Brian's father was a match.
It's like he's a newborn. He's really eating very well. He looks very strong. Because now when he had kidney failure, he was restricted to fruits. He was restricted to drinking water.
But just as Brian's health was improving, the family was once again plunged into another health crisis. His new kidney was failing.
I cried so much. I could not believe it.
Through social media, the family sent out an appeal for a kidney donor, as none of his family members was eligible. A total stranger, Paul, heeded the call, and with the help of the church and the family members, Ruth was able to raise 4 million shillings to take her son and the new donor to India for the life-saving surgery. However, doctors in India found another life-threatening condition that needed fixing if the kidney transplant was to be successful.
Now they realized he had a condition that was called primary hyperoxaluria, which is a liver condition. They also told us that the liver condition he had been born with. That's why his native kidneys failed. That is why his transplanted kidney is failing.
Another complication was that the laws in India forbid organ donation from someone who is not related to the recipient.
As a family, we didn't have anyone else to donate. They told me they have a board in the hospital which would sit down and decide whether they will allow this other donor maybe to donate a part of his liver to my son. They explained to me that for kidney it has to be basically a family member because there's more rejection.
Back at home, the search for a donor began once again. Brian's uncle Peter Njuguna, Ruth's younger brother, was a match. He flew to India for further tests, only to be found to be unfit as a donor. He had a more life-threatening disease, and so the focus shifts from saving Brian's life to that of the uncle.
That is when now they find he has a growth in his lungs. And now they even explained to me that whatever he's suffering from is very critical, that he can just sleep one day and just not wake up.
His uncle's surgery was a success, and he was able to donate his kidney while Paul donated his liver. The twin surgeries on Brian took close to 24 hours as they had to be done simultaneously.
There's that rate, you're not so sure what may happen in theatre. And now you have 3 people in there.
It has been more than 6 years since Brian's surgery, and his kidney and liver are functioning well. He went back to school and is now pursuing a course in nursing.
Because of whatever he went through, he really wanted to one day to become a doctor so that he can reach out to people just like the way the doctors helped him.
His mother, through Rujo's Tender Care, is involved in helping other parents and patients to access at ease medical facilities and doctors in India.
We are able to explain to them what they need to do, the procedure they need to do in order for them to go to India.
Marie Ambo reporting for KBC, Channel 1.
right. Welcome back. Thank you so much for staying with us. It's now time for us to get straight into the people and iron politics. I beg your pardon. But before then, let me take you through what we have on our roads today. Let me start with Nairobi. Okay. Today, I'm told that I should start with the Embakasi. Watu Embakasi, good morning. Coming from Ruai, getting towards Quickmart, that is the supermarket at Utawala, the so-called Mihango and Kwandege around that area is moving pretty well, but starts to build up as you approach the Utawala Quickmart there about the Glasgow, coming down to how do you call it? Coming towards the bypass. It's also okay. And then Embakasi police station there about the eastern bypass is moving pretty well. The only problem starts to when you're just approaching the airport, the North Airport Road, as you come towards Mombasa Road. That's where the traffic is all about because of that interchange. But then when you come towards this is Outer Ring Road. Okay, using the Outer Ring Road is moving pretty well, but the problem is at the roundabout, the Domnom area, where it's a bit of a snarl up because of the people using Manyanja Road, Savannah Road, and thereabout. But all in all, past that, coming to Mutindwa, all the way to GSU, Kariobangi North, and ultimately at the GSU headquarters there is moving okay. Now, once you join there, the problem starts. Thika Road. From KCA University, it's bumper to bumper. When you see this, is it red or maroon? This must be red, okay. So it's all both sides, Thika Highway and the service lane, all packed. That stands all the way from KCA University down to Kenya Utalii Hotel, up to the Muthaiga Square. They're about to have that interchange until you get up to the Pangani Shopping Center. That is always a problem with Thika Road. And the problem is always here. People using Kiambu Road, starting from the Directorate of Criminal Investigations, all the way to the interchange. That's where the problem is. From that point, moving to Ngara, moving Vizuri, until you get to the Globe roundabout. And finally, what's the western side of Kenya, if you're using the western side, ABC Place moving pretty well, coming into Westlands and then finally to Museum, ultimately into the CBD. I'm told that Watua Ngong Road Pia should also get to know how the traffic looks like. Okay, up to the Junction Mall because of the traffic lights there, but all in all, everything is moving well until you come to the Adlife, there about you have towards Yaya Center, Ngong Road moving pretty okay. But the problem starts around here, the City Mortuary, that roundabout, joining the Mbagathi Way. And then when you come down to Valley Road, ultimately into the CBD, everything moving very well. Up next, what do we have? Mombasa, good morning. From City Mall, all okay. What Mombasa? We all know. We should go to Mombasa for holiday, all right? So Mombasa, Nyali Road moving very well until you come up to the round lights, that is Mariakani, and the Kongowea Market, Kengeleni there, where the problem is. But after that, moving up to the side of Nyali Bridge. Today is a bit busy. I don't understand why. We'll get to know later on in our Twitter handle why that place is. But as you come towards the Bakupa Causeway, Kila kitu iko sawa to Mombasa, it's your time to drive to work, and that is as far as Mombasa is concerned. All right, okay, it looks pretty well, the ocean, right? Very good. And finally, watu wa Kisumu, good morning. Towards Kondele, that is, as you come towards Riat Hills, we have Wigot. Wigot is up the hill. It's moving pretty well. Kisumu coming to Kondele there, to the city center, everything looking very well. Even Kisumu outbound towards Boe, towards Ahero, everything looking good. That is as far as traffic is concerned in our major cities across the country. Let me take you through what we have on our local dailies. On the front page, there you have it. All right. On the front page of our Star newspaper, Uhuru linked to 40 million shillings Azimio protest budget. Uhuru linked to 40 billion shillings Azimio protest budget. Ruto accuses Kenyatta and Raila of sabotaging his government using demos. That is also on the front page of the Star newspaper. According to sources, the ex-president's office and family have so far denied opposition funding claims. That is on the front page of the Star newspaper. Of course, there's also a story here of our colleague Merab, who passed on. Merab was working with the Daily Nation. Of course, we pass our condolences to our colleagues in the media and to the family of Elizabeth Merab, who passed on a day ago after battling sickle cell anemia over the years. Mercy upon her. All right. So on the front page, let me start with Godfrey Ruku, Member of Parliament, Mbere North, already in studio. Mheshimiwa, good morning. Good to see you once again.
Good morning. Thank you.
How is Mbere doing so far? Let me start with that.
Mbere is quite okay. Of course, we have quite a number of challenges of water infrastructure.
Yes.
Our schools, but this is something we have a plan to work on, and we are pushing very well.
All right. Justin Wamai, for the first time joining us on KBC Channel 1. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, Victor.
Some of my colleagues are also happy to see you because you are, most of them, you're a role model to them.
I'm humbled.
Karibu sana.
Asante.
The 40 million shillings linked to Azimio protest budget. Mheshimiwa Ruku, this is mostly coming from Kenya Kwanza. I'm not able to ascertain this. How true is this info on the front page of the Star newspaper?
That is true, 100% true. The government has machinery to know what is happening. Of course, we have intelligence within our country, and there are many intelligence networks working in Kenya. I don't want to mention them, but of course, we know most of them. We have Mossad here in Kenya, we have FBI here in Kenya, we have CIA here in Kenya, we have all the intelligence network of the world, of different countries, are here in Kenya. So nothing that you can do, whether you are politician or a private citizen, and think that it is not, it's a big secret. Nothing is secret in today's world. So it is clear that Uhuru Kenyatta has been financing the demonstration from the beginning up to now. Of course, they are working very closely. They were working very closely from 2018 to now with Raila Odinga, and we know their intention is to destabilize Kenya Kwanza government, to destabilize our country for the intentions which are not known. Because you cannot build infrastructure. Uhuru Kenyatta is the one who constructed this express highway here. He did quite a number of projects within the nation. And you cannot do all that, then you want to destroy. You can't cut your nose to spite your face. You know, it's something which is not good for the nation. But we are telling Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga and Azimio Group that this is the last time this kind of politics is going to happen in our republic. It's going to be painful for, let's say, the remaining part of this year, probably up to December. But we are ready to go through the process.
Okay.
Because the politics of blackmail, conmanship has to come to an end.
Somebody is saying
because
that
if you remember,
this is a ploy to shift goals and run away from the real debate right now.
Kenya Kwanza administration has put in place strategies and programs to ensure the cost of living in our country comes down. They are serious program. We passed a very progressive finance bill. We passed for the first time since independence a very well coordinated budget within the value chain process, which has never been done in the past. So there are strategies in place, programs in place to ensure the cost of living comes down. Of course, you have seen the job creation. The government employed 30,000 teachers, is employing another 35,000 teachers, now is employing 20,000 teachers. The government is doing all what it can be able to do to ensure the cost of edible oils, the prices of edible oils, because this has been, there was state capture in the past in the edible oil industry. we know the senior government officials, very senior in the last government, have shares in some companies like Bidco, like Menengai, and such kind of companies, which produces rockery and the oils. Can you imagine someone going to court to petition the government that by putting that 5% import levy is good for the nation?
Okay.
You know, it's crazy.
Let me start with, let me come to Justina. Let me just get your voice on this. This sounds more of, this is alarming. What's your take on this headline?
First, I want to declare interest that I'm neither in Azimio nor in Kenya Kwanza.
Very well.
But when I look at the whole conversation, this country needs a middle ground. And that is what the 8 million who never voted in the last year's election were saying. Because Kenya Kwanza and Azimio are just pulling and pushing, and then they're shifting blames.
Yeah.
The fact remains that Kenya Kwanza is now in government. They owe Kenyans duty of care, duty of peace, and duty of tranquility. Azimio does not owe Kenyans anything. In fact, Kenyans had said we don't want housing levy, we don't want the 16% VAT on fuel.
Yeah.
They spend so much money on public participation in hotels and everywhere. A government that is saying that they inherited a dilapidated economy. So what becomes the voice of the Kenyan? And that is where Azimio is pretending that they are fighting for Kenyans, but they are not. Even claiming that Uhuru is giving them money. Forgetting the fact, what is the issue? The cost of living is high. Why not bite the bullet and give Kenyans fuel incentives for now, or the subsidies that were there? Why not bite the bullet and say, Kenyans have said they don't want houses? Is it a must they force Kenyans to things they do not want? In as much as it was in their manifesto. And that is why I challenge the media. Going forward the next election, once people are declared that these are the presidential candidates, at least have an open conversation with professionals analyzing a manifesto. Because now Kenya Kwanza is saying, we had told you about housing. But you know, the question of how are they funding never came into play. So the Kenyan didn't know what they were signing up for. So I think the whole issue is a blame game, and we need a middle ground in this country. We need an alternative voice that is saying that these two, remember, they were for some time, like 10 years prior, Raila and Ruto were in the same area. They were in the same camp. Now again, because they're different camps, they are changing the voice. They are now fighting each other. We need a shift in the... Actually, the battle is not against the regime. It should be against the ruling class. Because I think all this is just trying to confuse the Kenyans. They are forgetting the plight of the ordinary Kenyans. Yes.
Okay. All right. We'll get into that. My question is, did Kenyatta truly fund Azimio? Okay, very fast. Ruto Raila headed for major showdown as allies trade barbs. What has it that you are someone in status, an impromptu someone, and you have got straight orders to counter demonstrations in your areas of jurisdiction? How true is that info, Mheshimiwa?
That is true.
Okay, so how are you going to handle it?
A time has come because the demonstration has changed from the cost of living demonstration to anarchy violence and the destruction of infrastructure and loss of life. Time has come that we have to deal with this head-on.
Yes.
We, the Kenyans of goodwill, will come out in large numbers on Wednesday to protect the property, to protect the infrastructure, to ensure there's no loss of life. Because what we have seen in the past is violence, is anarchy, is thuggery, is chaos, all financed by Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga. So we have decided as elected leaders by the people, we'll mobilize all Kenyans of goodwill starting from today, tomorrow, and Wednesday to ensure there will be no loss of life, there will be no property destroyed. There will be no violence in the Republic of Kenya.
What were the contents of the meeting?
On Wednesday, it will be the last day for us to experience violence in Kenya.
What was the agenda in State House last week?
Is to discuss the state of affairs of our nation. Is to say that we were expecting Azimio will follow the Constitution.
Yes.
The Constitution says we must have peaceful demonstrations. We must have an armed demonstration. Properties have been burnt down. Infrastructure has been destroyed. rifle has been lost. Every single demonstration, there are a number of rifles which are lost. Any responsible leader was sworn in first to protect the constitution and also the allegiance to the president. All of us, including those who are in Azimio. Okay?
Okay.
So we have to be truthful to our oath of office. And that will be experienced. That will be done on Wednesday.
Okay, so how are you going to exercise that?
All of us, nobody,
how are you going to counter?
no politician who has a monopoly to a following. The reason why we are in office is because we have a following. Every person elected has his people. We will mobilize all those people on Wednesday to come and ensure we have peace in our nation.
Maruko, that sounds like a serious approach to counter Azimio, because Azimio, they're exercising their democratic right to picket, to assemble, and Article 37 that we are going to
will
look at
exercise
later on.
our constitutional right also.
But how are you,
remember,
as Kenya Kwanza member of the parliament, how are you going to handle it to counter? Because we all know what really happens. If police comes and approaches Azimio during their protests, we've seen what really happens.
Remember,
what's going to be different?
Remember the right of other person to enjoy an environment that is peaceful, a natural environment which does not have the chaos which we have seen. The right to public safety and the right to public order. We will ensure there is public safety. We will ensure other person will enjoy public order. We will ensure the right of other person to carry on his or her business without any interruption will be achieved.
Okay.
There's no reason as why the children of this city will not go to school on Wednesday.
Okay.
We will ensure the schools on Wednesday will be open and kids of this city and major towns in Kenya will go to school. We witnessed last Wednesday, all schools in Nairobi were closed. Why should my children not go to school?
Why should the children not go to school?
Why? So the thing is, this is coming to an end on Wednesday.
Okay.
We will face Raila Odinga and his team end on.
Okay. What do you make of that?
I'm curious to know how they are going to protect.
That is
because there's going to be collusion. That is a fact. If they bring their supporters, and Azimio have their own supporters, of course it's going to be worse. It's going to be chaos. Not to say that Azimio has failed on the threshold of Article 37. You should be peaceful and unarmed. That is a fact. But I'm wondering if they add their supporters in the whole mix, it's going to be a mess. And I want Kenya Kwanza to also sit back and ask themselves, this conversation that the president is going around the world, talking about the dollar, about financing, he has told us about CIA. Let's talk about the conspiracy theories. Maybe the fact that he's even touching the currency that is known, probably they're the ones who are even behind the upheaval. We know what happened in Libya. So first and foremost, even the government should choose their enemies wisely. Don't go around trying to poke people's eyes and then you're expecting to see peace, because we don't know what the international community or the big brother or Uncle Sam thinks about Kenya. So first, let's avoid such conversations that are making us Kenyans to look like we are fighting a system that has been there. Can we first grow our economy? Let us have an argument that the shilling is now stronger because of our internal efforts. So I think how they are going to maintain, because I'm sure the same way Azimio maybe has been paying their supporters, they're going to pay their own supporters, and then it's going to be chaos.
Okay, so what's now the work of the hardliners? Because from both sides, Azimio and Kenya Kwanza, it seems that hardliners are now creating that state of war. Based on what you're saying, Mheshimiwa.
There will be no state of war. For us in Kenya Kwanza, our work on Wednesday, and actually starting from today and tomorrow, and the work to be done on Wednesday, is to ensure peace prevails in major towns in Kenya.
Kindly get me the details. For example, in your area, Mbeere North, how are you going to handle it? That Azimio protesters will have their way, according to Article 37, but you, as a member of parliament, you're going to ensure that there is peace in that area, much as they are going to picket, yes, but there'll be peace.
Every Kenyan has a right to demonstrate peacefully.
Yes.
And to demonstrate in an armed manner. If there are Azimio supporters who will come out in large numbers across the country and demonstrate in large numbers in a peaceful manner, that is okay. You can do that each and every morning, every month, from now to December. But the moment you start banning vehicles, stoning vehicles,
what will happen?
How will you stop?
What will happen?
We will be there to ensure it's not going to happen, because also we have supporters.
But that should be the work of the police, if you ask me.
We have seen police have been overwhelmed in the last week demonstrations. That's what we saw. We will be there to help the police. We are asking the police to cooperate with us. Kenyans who want to see peace in our country, who don't want to see burning of vehicles, who don't want to see public transport paralyzed, who don't want to see express highway federalized. We are asking the police to cooperate with us because we'll be there to ensure that there will be no violence.
Let's take a break.
There will be no destruction of property and loss of life.
I want us to talk about this.
But we will not sit in our homes, we will not sit in our offices and just watch on television, seeing what is happening in different major towns of the country, things being destroyed. We will be in the street.
We'll be in the street. Before we take a break, in 1 second, let me take you through, because now we are doing the headlines, let me take you through the front page of what we have on, that we have on the front page of the CNN. Putin wants Russia. There you have it. Okay. It's misbehaving on me. Okay, let me go to BBC. That's what we have on there. We have that, and then finally Tunisia and EU finalized deal on migration. Let's take a break. When we come back, I want us to delve more on what we have on iron politics and what you should be expecting this coming week. I've got Geoffrey Ruku and Justine Wamai in studio. Stay with us.
What is going on here, Amparo? What are you doing with this peasant?
Can you please leave and don't waste my time? Put that away. Don't do it. I'm begging you. I beg you, don't kill me. Don't do it.
It just turned blue.
My father is being poisoned through his toothpaste.
What else do you want me to do so you'll accept that I didn't deceive you? I want you to know that I can't live without you. I can't imagine life without you.
Las bandidas.
All right, welcome back. Now it's time for us now to get deeper into our discussion here. Let me take you through the front page of the Standard pretty fast before we get to the discussion. Kenyans brace for tough protest week. That is something that we've been talking about here in the last 10 minutes. Kenyans brace for tough week of protest. Azimio has declared that it will hold demonstration from Wednesday to Friday this week as Kenyans push for a lowering cost of the living. Okay, there must be a problem there. Cost of living, but the move comes at a cost. Okay, business will be paralyzed in many parts of the country, but Mheshimiwa Ruku says that will not happen. Mudavadi puts tight leash on parastatal bosses on the front page. Professional bodies to keep off vetting of varsity courses. That is there. Of course, we still have on the front page, we have members, some heads of state who arrived in the country over the weekend. The African Union and the Africa Development Bank president and members had a meeting yesterday at the Gigiri complex. Ruto pushes for independent AU at meeting with African leaders. Let me just get this. It's quite interesting. Can this really happen, Justine Omai, for Africa to have their own granary instead of looking at their own big brothers?
They can, but I remember there was a conversation that countries are not contributing as
Yes.
much, African countries are not contributing towards that goal. So if we start contributing and strengthening AU, why not? We should, but I think the issue is now we do not contribute
The
too much.
sustainability.
Yes,
Okay.
of the AU.
So, and how would the big brother look at it, Mheshimiwa Ruku, if Africa decides to be independent? We don't look to the West, you know, the big brothers, quote unquote, and this push to have one common center for African leaders for their own development. How will it work to us against our big brothers? I mean,
the boundaries we have at the moment in Africa, they are not our boundaries. Africa was one before the Paris conference, and that's where we want to go back, probably in the future, because these boundaries, they don't serve any of our interests as Africa. Interests of those who put those boundaries there. The people who put those boundaries are the colonialists, and they put boundaries, but they remove boundaries in Europe.
Yeah.
At the moment in Europe, there is a movement of labor from one country to the other, except Britain, which United Kingdom, which removed itself from the euro. So I think it is possible to go back to how Africa was before 1895. So it is possible, and I think that's the right direction to take. But at the same time, also we have to accept the interdependence of this world. The world is very small. The movement of people from one corner to the other is moving very fast. The exchange of technology and ideas and knowledge, universities, people are studying in one university to the other, in America, in South America, in Russia, there's a lot of interdependence. Also, we cannot be able to run away from that. But what we are saying is Africa must start recognizing itself as one people. We should not be proud of boundaries, because for the time I have traveled across Africa, we are one people. You go to Malawi, you can't be able to tell whether you're in Kenya or in Malawi. You go to northern part of South Africa, the village there is just the same as in my village. We are one people. Cultures are almost more or less the same. Therefore, it is important to see the effort which African Union is trying to put in place, and I think that is in the right direction. It may take time, but I think a day is coming when it will be achieved. I don't know when.
But what do you think of the president's foreign policy? Because he's been going across the countries. The other time he was in South Africa, he also talked about Africa being independent. What do you make of his foreign policy?
It's a bit skewed and confused, because now sometimes he's looking like he's quoting the West, then another time he doesn't want to deal with the East. Now he brought the Iranian president here, and we know the implication internationally. So I think the advice maybe for now, his foreign policy should be domestic. Let us look internally what we can contribute, what we can produce, our competitive advantage as a country, because going to bring investors here, remember our cost of power is up. Our cost of even the social aspect, Kenyans themselves, the way they do business, the way they interact with businesses is still down. So let us strengthen ourselves first internally, and then by that time investors will come. Actually, see, like it's a waste of money, so to speak. At this point, your government is saying they inherited a dilapidated economy to be traveling around the world, So I think he should first strengthen local resources, what we have, so that we can see where we need other expertise or other people's input. Yes.
If all the African heads of state were to have the common center for them to operate on, but the question is that issue of the common currency, that is where we should start. But how long do you think it would take for us to have this kind of a centralized area of operation as Africans?
I think Africans, we like some form of autonomy, and we feel like our currency is our safety net. What I think we should do is, can we first see if in Kenya, what can we produce what is our core advantage, for example. Let's even start with the East Africa Union, East Africa community. If it is rice, can we produce it here in Kenya and sell to the 300 million Africans in the East Africa community? When we start thinking long term, because right now I saw like there's a company closing, the Ugandan franchise is closing because they cannot export milk to Kenya. Why not focus on the larger market instead of saying no, we're protecting the internal country market? So I think the issue of currency is a challenge for us, maybe because of autonomy, but let's start with what are we trading? What are we trading? What is my competitive advantage as Kenya, as Tanzania, as the other person? And then we see how to go forward. And adding on to that, what will our big brothers say? Maybe let's learn from China. They have come, they have raised, they have grown, they have emerged as they are an emerging superpower. So what can we learn from them? Internal strength.
Internal strength.
Yes.
Okay. Mheshimiwa Ruku, it was also important to note because the president has been quite vocal on that. I mean, having Africans to operate on themselves, it's been long coming, but then he's gone full throttle on it. Do you think it's going to happen in the next 5 years?
And international conventions and diplomacy space, but the beginning, we have to start from somewhere. I'm happy with what the president is putting across in different international forums. And for instance, these things have been so skewed. In terms of negotiations we have, they are always skewed. For instance, the international financial system is completely skewed. Remember, people sat down and made decisions to have United Nations after the war. People sat at Bretton Woods and made decision to have IMF and the World Bank after 1945. Still, people can sit down and make decisions to have a new international financial system where every nation in the world is contributing, percentage of the GDP, so that all of us can. If we pay taxes locally, you pay tax, everybody here pays taxes. Then it means also it is possible for nations of the world to pay taxes to ensure we have a good. We don't have poor, developed. We have a society which we are living as humanity, as human beings, because we are in this world together. We are all human, whether we are black or white or yellow or whichever color. We are all human beings. So we need to live as brothers and sisters of the world. So we can have an international system which is going to take care of that. And I think that's the kind of discourse the president is talking about. And also we have a challenge of climate change, which is affecting every human being, regardless of whether you're in Kenya or in Papua Guinea or in Cook Islands or in South America or wherever. The climate change is a global thing. It is not a thing of this country and the other. So it should be given an approach of the globe. It's not an approach of a nation. Because once the nation's interest and the global interest, they will always conflict. The national interest cannot be global interest.
All right, thank you. Let me finally on to the front page of the Daily Nation. A drinking nation. That's on the front page of the Daily Nation. It's as simple as that. A drinking nation. Inside Kenya's big alcohol problem, there is a whole graphic illustration of what it takes. 27 million, that is the current population, and the population aged between 15 and 65 who consume alcohol is 48.6% of the total population. A drinking nation. 12%, you can take a look at that because we have a complete illustration graphically there. Still on the front page header there, week of protest. Will Ruto Raila strike deal? It says, Azimio Chief Raila Odinga and President William Ruto have stood their ground, with the former insisting that the protests were within Kenya's constitutional rights, while the head of state has warned that his administration will not condone any such demos. The results of the three-day protest could, however, spell doom for the country. but there is still time to avert looming turmoil. This brings me to the question I asked you before I come to you, Justina. Mheshimiwa Ruko Ofe, you said this Wednesday is going to mark the end of demonstrations.
Yes.
How?
You know, if you look at the Constitution, Article 39, 38, talks about the rights. And those rights are very express. You know, there's no condition which the Constitution put in place before you enjoy that right. For instance, Article 38 of the Constitution talks about every citizen is free to make political choices, which include the right to form, participate in forming a political party, the right to participate. You know, there is no condition.
Yeah.
It's express. If you go to Article 39, the Constitution also talks about that every person has the right to freedom of movement, every person has the right to leave Kenya. You know, every citizen has a right to enter, remain. You know, there's no condition.
Yeah.
But Article 37, which the Azimio has been talking about, that article, before you enjoy the right of to assemble, to demonstrate, to picket, to present petition to public authorities, Constitution put two conditions. For you to enjoy that right, you have to do it peacefully and unarmed.
Yes.
That's where we are. That's what we are saying, that on Wednesday, we in Kenya Kwanza will ensure this article of our Constitution is properly adhered to. That we have to demonstrate in a peaceful manner and in an armed manner. That's what we are saying.
Okay.
We have waited for Azimio to ensure that the demonstrations are peaceful and they are not armed. But what we have seen is destruction of our roads, burning tarmac, is destruction of the entire infrastructure, is destruction of property, is burning of vehicles, killing people. That is what we have seen. This article of Constitution, Article 37, give us two conditions. It must be peaceful and it must be unarmed before you talk about demonstration and assembly. So on Wednesday, that is what we in Kenya Kwanza will ensure it is peaceful. Before, we have been in our offices, we have been, sit and watch. We are not going to sit again. We are not going to wait and see property destroyed. We will be out there assisting police to ensure there is no destruction of property. And we are asking all Kenyans of goodwill to come out in large numbers on Wednesday to ensure peace prevail in our nation.
That sounds okay when you call on Kenyans to see peace prevails. But
yes,
the direction that politicians from Kenya Kwanza is taking, I'm quite interested, because there's also an article here on page 6 of the Standard. Bill on protest will curtail rights to hold demos, legal experts say. That is your bill, Mheshimiwa.
Yes.
I'll get into that. But Mheshimiwa, when you hear all this is happening, and they will help the police to protect, to preserve, and to support the police, to give what they call reinforcement. Are we in that situation where now the public will give police reinforcement?
I'm actually thinking it's going to be messed up, because if Azimio supporters throw stones, how are they going to protect themselves? I'm imagining Kawangware is the middle of Dagoretti North and Dagoretti South. One is Azimio side, the other one has a UDA or a Kenya Kwanza MP. So how are they going to go about it? So maybe one, it's going to be violent, or two, money will be poured. Raila Amolo Odinga will be called to State House by Ruto, they'll have a handshake and money will be poured. That is what we are assuming. Because I'm wondering, I don't think Kenya Kwanza is ready to make sure that this country goes to the dogs when people start fighting.
Should tell us,
so maybe money will be poured, money will be given. When they say Itaisha, we don't know.
Yes.
Let us be positive that it's not going to be violent. But let me also, on the issue of maybe, can I talk on the alcohol?
Yeah, go ahead. Yes.
There is something
that affects all of us.
Yes, alcoholism. When I was growing up, we used to have the advert on baada ya kazi. That is when private sector was thriving.
Na some brand somewhere.
Yeah, some brand, baada ya kazi. Private sector was thriving. So people, and you even used to see on the advert, people are working, they are still, you know, they're connecting still, they're doing so much after the office, you're going. But right now, there's an unemployment. Guys are saying alcohol as a way of just releasing their tension. And remember, alcohol, the demand is inelastic. Whether you increase price, people are going to drink either way, they'll just look for a cheaper option.
Yeah.
So I think instead of controlling the drinking itself, what is government doing to provide a conducive environment for businesses to thrive? Actually, public sector is not supposed to be the single largest employer. Private sector is supposed to be the employer. So when they come with punitive rules that are making even the guys in Kenya, the investors, to decide to go to other countries, then they're also making Kenyans, they're the ones who are pushing Kenyans further into alcoholism. And also there's something else on climate change. I'm still curious. Of course, they're fighting on the carbon credits and net zero, but the president himself is saying that he's allowing logging. You've seen over the weekend, photos are being sent of what forests are being done now since the door was opened, how people are cutting trees indiscriminately. So I think there's so much that Kenya Kwanza is, actually they're the ones who are growing or they're thriving, they're making Azimio thrive with their issues, with their policies that are all over the place. Finally, Mheshimiwa is saying that the president is really pushing for a financial system that is, you know, that is Africa friendly. But when I said we need to look internally, a report came that the port of Dar es Salaam is now preferable. Why not the port of Mombasa? Because of non-tariff barriers. If on the road, the northern, when you're driving as a truck driver, there are cops who are asking you for bribes and your trip is being interrupted along the way, how are you going to be encouraged to even come to port of Mombasa? You prefer to go to Dar es Salaam. So I think before we talk about other issues externally, can we first sort out our mess in Kenya so that someone can say, this country is preferable for business?
Okay, very well. So, Mheshimiwa, straight into our discussion here. And I really want us to get into the nitty-gritties of this particular bill. It says, and it's on page 6 of the Standard newspaper. Let me just get you a quick one. Bill seeks to have conveners or protest held liable for any damages to property or loss of lives. True or false?
True.
Thank you so much. Lawyers say that there are laws that address how to deal with those who destroy property. So the story says, the constitutional experts have criticized the proposed Maandamano bill that seeks to regulate protests. According to the bill, which is sponsored by Mbeere North MP Godfrey Ruku, who is here, seeks to have conveners of protests held liable for any damage to property or loss of lives. It proposes that conveners must be held liable for the damage caused during riots, and those participating in illegal protest be imprisoned for a year. True or false?
True.
Allow me to get into the nitty-gritties because I don't have a copy of this one, Mheshimiwa. We only have two ways to change the constitution, through parliament and through the popular initiative. How are you going to enact this bill?
One, we are not amending any constitution. We are only putting into effect Article 37 of our Constitution, which gives two conditions for any Kenyan to enjoy this right. The right must be enjoyed in a peaceful and unarmed manner. We have Public Order Act of 1952. It is a colonial act. It's an act which should not be operating within the boundaries of our nation. It is actually poisonous because it was enacted during the colonial times and with the sole purpose of ensuring Kenyans, their rights are completely suppressed. So the object of Public Order Act of 1952, which is still in operation up to now, it is colonial objects. The reasons why it was put in place, it was put in place to kill Mau Mau, to kill the freedom fighters. That's the object. Actually, the Parliament of Kenya should apologize to Kenyans. That why is it that we have Public Order Act of 1952? From 1952 to now, why should we be having such kind of a Public Order Act? The institution, everybody who has been in Parliament from 1963 to now should apologize to the people of Kenya for ensuring that we have such a colonial law still in existence in our nation. Now, This constitution was enacted, was put in or promulgated in 2010. So our constitution is 13 years old at the moment. For 13 years, Article 37 of our constitution has not been put into effect. Articles of the constitution, the ones are normally put into effect through an act of parliament. It's only members of parliament, either in the Senate or in the National Assembly, who can be able to put an article of a constitution into effect. Even the president can only go through the cabinet, and then the cabinet through the Attorney General brings a bill to the National Assembly for the members of the Parliament to discuss it and see whether it is worthy to pass it or not. So that is a cardinal law which has been given to us, members of Parliament, and to nobody else. Therefore, myself as a member of Parliament, and recognizing the sanctity of the law of a member of Parliament, and what is happening today in our republic, and what has happened in the past in our republic, that we have destroyed our economy. We have what we have built over the years. A lot of money has been put in place to be where we are as a nation, and we have one nation which we have to take care of, and to give our children a better nation. Then it is important to enact a law in Parliament which ensures that demonstration will be done peacefully and in an armed manner.
Okay.
What we have seen in the past, we have seen chaos and anarchy. And the politicians are not telling us that this article of constitution has two conditions given by our constitution. They are only trying to say, like other articles, like Article 39 and that 8, which don't give any condition.
Okay.
But Article 38(7) has two conditions. So the bill aims to achieve these two conditions are put into effect.
Okay.
You can only put these two conditions into effect if you have set of rules on how you're supposed to carry, how you are, when you say demonstrations, you are free to demonstrate and in a peaceful, how do you ensure it's going to be peaceful?
That's the question.
How do you ensure it's going to be and don't tell me about the Public Order Act of 1952, because that Public Order Act of 1952,
that was actually what I was coming to.
That's why you normally see police shooting people.
Okay.
Because what they are following is Public Order Act of 1952, which is completely colonial, which was aimed at killing Mau Mau freedom fighters. So we need a law, and that's what I've come up with, to ensure Maandamano will be done in a peaceful manner.
It's called the Maandamano Bill. I gave you time so that you can give us a background.
Yes.
Justina, we're going to get there, because how is it going to affect my right? Article 37, 38, 39, and Public Order Act, how is it going to affect me? Are we going to, how is it going to affect the Constitution? And in any case, are we trying to imply or trying to preempt the outcome of Maandamano's quote unquote? Because if you're going to hold conveners liable, it's like the bill already presupposes what's going to happen after the Maandamano. Let's take a break, Mheshimiwa. Let's take a break. I'm on order. Okay, we'll be right back with more after this. Stay with us.
제보요. 뭐가 잘 안 풀려, 강 사장?
죄도 안 풀려. 아니, 꼬여가기만 하네.
야! 이제 똑바로 안 해! 아니 어떤 놈이 앞으로 길막을 하고 있냐? 이게 범벅하야!
kuniambia nikae chini.
Nimekwambia ukae kwa kiti.
Sasa ndio umesema nikae kwa kiti. Ulikuwa umesema kaa.
Mimi hata usinipongeze. I don't want anything. I'm doing it free of charge.
Unaniachilia tu hivi mnaniambia nipeane story saa inchi vile inakaa. Inchi vile inakaa simwangalie kwa TV mtaona vile inakaa.
Leo umeshinda mbio moja sasa umekuwa champion.
Na Beni umekasirika mama.
Wacha tuendelee na sherehe hiyo, maneno yako ya zawadi ndakutayarishia.
Teresa nini na kunipea kasota kama mimi ni mtoto wa shule? Mimi ni mtoto wa shule, mimi nimetoka shule, unanipea 2,000 ama unipei?
Thank you so much for staying with us. Justina, do you think this is going to, at the end of the day, Kenyans have a right to enjoy their freedom, Article 37, 38, 39, going down there. But when you see that kind of, this kind of bill, Mheshimiwa, you'll give us, you said you don't have a copy today, but, okay, e-copy. How is it going to affect our rights if such kind of a bill passes through Parliament? Of course, you know, when it's taken to the floor of the House, the debate is going to be there. Kenya Kwanza, they have numbers, and a lot will have to go through stages before it's assented to. How is it going to affect your right and my right and Wanjiku's right?
First, I'd like to give the context of an ordinary Kenyan.
Go ahead.
Victor, we go for parties and guys are having fun. The next minute, people are fighting on that corner.
Yeah.
You don't know. That is the Kenyan behavior. Let's first accept that. I don't know whether we get overly excited about things, because I think even when they start the mandamano, the intention is supposed to be peaceful. At the end of it all, you see this. So much chaos, people are fighting, loss of property. And let me give on Article 43 of the Geneva Convention. It says they should be picketing and that protest, but it must be peaceful. The threshold must be peaceful. So Article 37 also says that you should be unarmed and it should be peaceful. So on this one, I'm supporting Mheshimiwa, because when you look at people who have lost property over time, look at 207. Many people's properties were lost, many lives were lost, but there's no conversation about that. People always move on for some reason in this country and they forget. Now I'm saying that Azimio, through the Wiper leader, they're saying that they're going to report the police, inspector of police, to ICC. And my question is, and where will we report the people whose properties have been destroyed? Where are they going to report? Where are they going to get compensation and recourse? So I think affecting our rights, remember, Victor, there are people who, they are aggressive, they want to go for mandamano. But there are other people who are like, I don't want to involve myself. I'm not aggressive, I don't want to be beat up. So where is diversity and inclusivity if I'm not going for mandamano, but my property is destroyed because I didn't go? So somewhat, they are also discriminating people. Let mandamano be a matter of individual choice. If you want to go, you go. And me who doesn't go, allow me to open my business to continue with my day-to-day life. So I think because acts come to operationalize the Constitution, and like you said, you only have the Public Order Bill 1952. It's about time we have also an up-to-date way of controlling things, because Kenyans, sadly, we have to be controlled.
That has been nature of politics in the country. But do you think that if it passes, Mheshimiwa, it's going to limit that right of Article 37 to some extent?
Not at all. Because the object of this bill talks about, first of all, it recognizes, this bill, recognizes the right of Kenyans to assemble, to picket and to demonstrate and to present petitions to public authorities. But my brother, you know, if today you are arrested for participating in a violent demonstration, do you know it will not be able to sustain that case in a court of law, because you have to get definitions done properly. When the Constitution talks about assembly, what is an assembly? We need someone to define what assembly means, so that our judicial system or administration of justice can be able to have a clear definition of what assembly means. Today, if you are trying to go in the court of law and define what demonstration is, do we have a law that is defining what demonstration means.
And that's what
we
the
don't
bill
have.
seeks to
we don't
highlight.
have. So in this bill,
yes,
demonstration is clearly defined what it means. At the moment,
what is it? What is it?
Demonstration means an act of a group of persons associated under common objectives, parading around or displaying their will or vigorous determination in public places available for free movement of the general public, such as roads and parks, with the aim of exerting influence or the opinion of a large number of unspecified persons or overwhelming, or overwhelming them.
Okay.
You understand? That's what I'm defining demonstration as. And of course, the bill will go through debate. If in case there's changes of what the definition means, it will the demonstration. I mean, the change will be effected. Will be done. Amendment will be done. But also, you see, at the moment, we talk about people coming into large numbers in streets. Do we have someone who guide the people? You are the ones who want to have a demonstration because of a certain reason why, which is not going well within the country or within your place of work. You have a right to go and demonstrate. But we need demonstration to be guided. And that's why we're introducing a marshal. Someone to be on this side, another one on this side. You can have 100 marshals, you can have 20 marshals, you can have 1,000 marshals, depending on the size of the crowd, to ensure the crowd is properly organized, you know? At the moment, do you know the meaning of organizer? On Wednesday, we'll be having demonstration. Who will be the organizer of those demonstrations? Legally, can you be able to pinpoint and say, it is Raila Odinga who is the organizer of this maandamano? No, you can't. So we need to put a system in place whereby the organizer of demonstration is clearly known, and it can only be clearly known when you go to notify the police, because that's what the Constitution says. You go and notify the police, you'll be having a demonstration. Okay, you are told, okay, this is the form, please fill your details as the organizer of the maandamano.
Okay.
So that we know, in case of loss of property, loss of life, then we'll call you and to tell you the Constitution says the demonstration must be peaceful and armed. Your demonstration, the one you organized, they were not peaceful.
Yes.
There was violence. Please, can you go to court and explain why?
Why?
Can you also explain it is not you who caused those demonstrations be violent?
All right.
So we need to have all these details put in place for our nation to be a democratic nation, a democratic society, but also a very civil society, well-organized society, disciplined society, so that we can have a predictable economy. We need to have. Do you know how much we are going to lose? How much we lost on Wednesday? How much we are going to lose this week?
This law sounds academic. You and I can understand, and Justina can understand, but the common mwananchi, people who will be told Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, maandamano straight, do they really understand? What's your take on this?
I'm thinking during the Sabasaba, there were people who were arrested and they said they were civil society. That is when we saw Willie Mutunga was tear gassed at Central. But when on Monday they went to court, the DPP had no charges against them. You remember? They were just released. So I think that there is a lacuna or a gap in terms of now the law that which they're going to be charged by. Maybe they'll say, yes, we had a marshal. They can argue their point because civil society were insisting that they were not part of Azimio Maandamano in Kamkunji. Theirs was peaceful. They had marshals, but they were arrested on CBD. So probably that time they're going to do, if the law is in place, we are going to be told if you're demonstrating, be at a certain point. So maybe it gives the legal framework for where to argue your point from. So when you tell people that when you're arrested, you have a legal basis to say we had marshals and the police were unfair, or until the police came, that is when there was violence. So I think the bill is very important.
But we still have
the other thing
brackets
also,
even in
this bill also gives the responsibility for police on how to conduct themselves. At the moment, the Public Order Act, the one we have on 1952, it gives police that colonial way of approaching things, of suppressing everybody, ensuring you kill the situation, you know, in a forceful manner. But this bill recognizes the right of every citizen to demonstrate in a peaceful manner. And therefore, also the police are guided on how to ensure the demonstration are going to be peaceful. The police also have a cardinal law. Remember, the only responsibility why we have police everywhere in the world is because of two reasons. One, to protect property and to protect life. Nothing else. Not because of anything else.
But Mheshimiwa, we've seen that. I mean, Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka said that Azimio protesters should come to protest unarmed. I don't know how unarmed they are. That's not me to judge. But anytime there is a confrontation between the protesters and the police, things turn ugly. How is it going to streamline the conduct of the police?
Because once you go to a police station to notify the police that you are planning to have demonstration on this day, there is procedures which should be taken through, the requirement of marshals, the requirement to state where the demonstration will be, what time you start your demonstration and what time you end, the requirement also to ensure that in case of any damage of property, we know where we'll get you, your residence. And the police are also given express authority by this bill, a police of the rank of inspector and above, when the demonstration is ongoing, to assess the situation and see we are about to lose property, we are about to have chaos and life might be lost. Then there is a procedure prescribed on this bill on what police officers should do to ensure that is not going to happen. And one of the things the police are given powers by this to do is to make an announcement that now, from now onward, and they must be a rank of inspector and above, we are calling off this demonstration because they are about to be violent, or we are going to lose property. And in case the protesters don't adhere to those instructions of inspector of police and above, then the police have the right to use their weapon in the appropriate way they deem. Remember, in the United States, we talk about the United States a lot because it's one of the biggest democracies and democracies which people talk about a lot. We have a law which talks about stand your ground. In case you trespass someone's property, that person, according to the law of the United States, has a right to shoot you and kill you. Stand your ground, law. We are not implementing such kind of law here. What we are giving is the police the right to use their weapon in a forceful manner in case you want to have violent demonstration. We must be a civil society, a society which is disciplined.
Fine, Mheshimiwa, because at the end of the day, the law is made for man.
Yes.
All right, law is made for man. But the moment you start having such bill, you see the process going to Parliament and for debate and what have you, but you still have such kind of bill. I'm just curious about how Wanjiku and the common Mwananchi is going to receive it. Because
there is liability.
All right, just hold. Because the common Mwananchi is going to say, all right, umepeleka sheria bungeni so that our rights are going to be curtailed. But human beings are creative. How are we going to make sure that that thin line between law, picketing, and rights it's put in such a way that the common Mwananchi knows that this is the law, this is my right, and this is what I'm supposed to do, as per this bill?
That is where media comes in, to be very honest, because when we have the right conversation for Kenyans to understand. But I want to remind Kenyans that responsibility, the rights comes with responsibilities. That one we have to agree. And you will not force someone who is choosing not to go for mandamano to go. Remember, everyone in all this gets affected. If you close your business, that day you've not earned. Someone else has gone for mandamano. And remember, it's not free. People are paid, so they say, to go for mandamano. So you're making your money during mandamano, but someone else has closed their business. So media comes in to give us the right information. But Kenyans need to remember, the problem we have in this country, too many of us have nothing to lose. You know, if we had something to lose, all of us had something to lose, maybe we would behave well. When you see someone's tomatoes, you're respecting that person's tomatoes. You're respecting that this person has a shop, he's selling juice, that is his daily bread, you know. So I think also it goes back to government. How are you empowering the ordinary Mwananchi?
What do you mean too many of us have nothing to lose?
Unemployment is a challenge. Many people go for mandamano just to release the pressure and the stress and the anger towards government because there are no jobs. Remember, this government had said, serikali ni mama mboga na watu wa boda boda. Were they considered? No, they were not. So people are still bitter. When we are told that unga is still 250 per kg, people have nothing to lose because they're like, if I can't even afford a meal, I'd rather die in the mandamano. So I think it goes back to even the economic situation of the country. So the media will come in to explain to Kenyans what it means. Because you can't say you have rights, but you don't have responsibilities. That is a fact. And many Kenyans, if you listen to them, they prefer to keep off, they prefer to be at home instead of be at the mandamano, because they don't know what will happen. The eventuality of it all, you might be shot dead, you may, you can be arrested and you are not part of the mandamano. So I think the bill is very important, and media comes in to sell the narrative, to explain to Kenyans how it affects them. Because assuming you are in your shop and you are arrested by a cop, so which law are you going to base your argument on? So this bill is very, very important. And Victor, as a society, we have to accept that there is progression. We have to move away from old ways of doing things, the colonial ways of doing things, to the new ways of doing things. Yes.
Okay. I ask a question, Mheshimiwa Ruku. Is it preemptive, the bill itself, to the conveners? And how do you describe a convener? That's question number 2. The third question, so what if Kenyans decide and say, okay, we are not going to the streets, so we are going to have cold demonstration, no going to work, we are going to sit back home. Who are you going to hold liable in this situation? Because we've seen such.
You have asked a good question, who is a convener? And the bill define the convener. The convener means any person who, of his own account, calls a public gathering and in relation to any organization or a branch of any organization, any person appointed by such organization or a branch to call a public gathering. Okay. The convener.
All right. So I'm told there's a rat that has passed, has affected your microphone. We'll fix it. All right. Let me cross over very shortly. We'll come back to Mheshimiwa. Just I beg your pardon for that. Let me just cross over very quickly to, I'm told the CS Eliud Owalo is also having a conversation right now. Eliud Owalo, that is CES for Information, Communication and Digital Economy. Eliud Owalo presiding over the Memorandum of Understanding between the ministry and the United Nations Development Programs. Let's take a listen.
Of various state agencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I'm happy that we are here this morning to undertake the activity of signing the MOU between the Ministry of Information, Communication and Digital Economy and the UNDP. This is actually a major milestone in the pursuit of our digitalization agenda. We have been having discussions with UNDP for several months now, and I'm happy that this has culminated in the function that we are having this morning. So I stand before you, ladies and gentlemen, with great joy as we take a major step in the pursuit of our digital transformation agenda. I'm very pleased that the collaborative dialogue that the Ministry of Information, Communication and the Digital Economy and UNDP have been engaged in for the past month is entering this actualization stage today, where we are shortly going to put ink on paper. The partnership we are signing here this morning, ladies and gentlemen, will draw the synergies of each party's strength to drive our country to a new high in matters digital. This partnership focuses on integral components which are aligned to our Digital Master Plan 2022-2032, and the facets of this MOU entail digital skilling and upskilling, data governance, e-government, and digital jobs and businesses. You are aware that in our overall policy framework as government, the digital superhighway is a standalone thematic area, and it was deemed appropriate or deemed so because ICT is not just an enabler to everything that we are trying to do as government, but it is also a critical success factor for us moving forward. And in that regard, as a ministry, we have been tasked with the mandate of overseeing the rolling out of 100,000 kilometers of fiber optic cable to those parts of the country that hitherto had not yet been connected. We are rolling out 25,000 free Wi-Fi hotspots, targeting those operating at the bottom of the economic pyramid. And in the initial stages, we are targeting, or we are connecting markets where our mothers and sisters are involved in itinerary trade. We are connecting bus termini where employed youth are domiciled, so that they can get involved in meaningful economic activity while leveraging on technology by way of e-commerce. We are also setting up 1,450 digital hubs as a means of facilitating digital skilling, ladies and gentlemen, which is very much in tandem with the spirit of the MOU that we are signing today. Over and above the digital skilling, as an end result, we envisage that we should be able to leverage on that for purposes of digital jobs for our youth. If we did that, it will be a game changer for this country, because it will address the fundamental unemployment challenge that we have been facing for the last few decades, ladies and gentlemen. Equipping workers with the necessary digital skills as envisaged in this partnership, and breaking down data silos by automating government services and fostering the growth of digital jobs and businesses. Both parties aim to bedrock the future of Kenya on a solid, sustainable and inclusive digital foundation. I'm very much aligned with the UNDP on this. With the digital infrastructure in place, our target is to digitalize all government services. Madam Regional Director, when we came into government last year, we only had a meager 350 services aboard the technological platform. As we speak today, over 5,000 services have already been onboarded on the e-Citizen platform, and our proposition is that by the end of the year, all government services will be available for Kenyans, and by extension, all stakeholders on digital platforms, so that we enhance the level of efficiency and effectiveness by way of service delivery. And in line with the thinking of UNDP, if we did that, we will seal all revenue leakages that we have witnessed in the past, so that there is efficiency and effectiveness and prudence in utilization of public resources. We will be able to bring in more people into the tax bracket, so that we collect more revenue, so that we are able to finance both our domestic development and recurrent expenditure, leveraging on locally generated revenue, and also go a step further to finance the repayment of the debts that we have as a country. Those are tangible benefits. But as we do this, we are also aware that we have to work on issues of cyber insecurity. And this is why we have gone a step further and operationalized the Office of the Data Commissioner, and the Data Commissioner herself is here. She's charged with the responsibility of ensuring that any data that comes into position of government in this process is not just, but we also the component or the aspect of private is up highest level possible. In at the legal, policy and regulatory framework, depending on unfolding events from time to time and emerging issues in the operational environment, we are constantly reviewing or liaising with the stakeholders with a view to reviewing those policies, laws and regulations, depending on need and based on input from the various stakeholders. So we are aware as a ministry that we need to adopt a participatory approach by constantly engaging our partners so that their integral views get integrated in this process, ladies and gentlemen. So this collaborative initiative is well aligned to our national development policy framework, our master plan, and we, in our view, through this partnership, will go a step further towards realization of turning Kenya into a digital economy. We recognize that to achieve our digital agenda, we continuously need to work with partners. We have stated many a time before that in pursuit of our digitalization agenda, we look forward to stakeholder alliances and partnerships. This partnership with UNDP is one of them. We look forward to more and more partnerships with integral stakeholders so that we can walk this journey together. And in this regard, we will constantly engage diplomatic missions within our ambit, the private sector organizations and non-governmental organizations, depending on unfolding event from time to time. In fact, 58% of everything that we are trying to do, as a bare minimum, we envisage that will be undertaken by the private sector, while as government we just provide the enabling policy, legal and regulatory framework. We are aware that we need to draw synergies and optimize the use of the available resources, and therefore we have established a donor coordinating group led by the Principal Secretary of ICT, Engineer John Tanui, and we welcome all donors in the ICT sector to come on board for purposes of expanding the collaboration. The significance of the MOU that we are about to sign, ladies and gentlemen, is not just for the ICT sector. We are looking forward to collaboration with the State Department of Public Service, and Banagadecha is here, the PS, as a symbol of this. We are looking forward to working with other facets of government. And let me state unequivocally that our digitalization agenda has got support from the highest echelons of government, led by none other than the President himself. He is our greatest agent in spreading the gospel of digitalization. So there is no going back. We have got commitment at all levels of government. And we are aligned from all aspects of government that we have to digitize records, we have to digitalize services, we have to enhance our digital skills, we have to pursue digital entrepreneurship, we have to pursue e-commerce. We are all aligned in all facets of government in this regard, ladies and gentlemen. So I want to assure you that anything by way of policy action, legal reviews that is necessitated on the part of government, that we will do. Because as far as digitalization is concerned, there is no going back. With those many remarks, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank all of you for creating time to come and join us this morning, and I look forward to signing the MOU. Thank you very much.
That is CS Eludowalo, CS Minister of Information, Communication and the Digital Economy, there with the signing of a memorandum of understanding between the ministry and the United Nations Development Program, UNDP, function happening there live at the Villa Rosa Kempinski in Nairobi. Okay, more to that we'll be giving you in our subsequent bulletins across the day. All right. Coming back in our studio, we had a small break here with Justin Wamai and Mheshimiwa Godfrey Ruku. All right, let's take a break and we come back. We are still going to continue with this discussion shortly after this. Stay with us.
This is the show that keeps you updated on everything you need to know about technology.
Digital resilience is about organizations being able to continue to operate despite negative impacts that they've experienced.
The subject digital transformation, we keep talking about it, but very many people fail to understand that.
Twitter's removal of blue ticks is forcing accounts to find new ways to prove authenticity as concerns over copycats mount. At the same time, Elon Musk has given blue ticks to a few celebrities who didn't ask for one, such as writer Stephen King and Larry Madowo, for free.
Click on Tech every Monday at 10:30 p.m. on KBC Channel 1. Stay tuned.
Every Monday evening, we take you back where the action happened live. We let you know what you missed, even if you were present.
And our goal is to continue supporting our own.
From the latest celebrity buzz,
fashion,
music,
and all manner of youth talents,
the Grapevine cameras rove all week to bring you the latest in the enormous entertainment scene.
Watch Grapevine every Monday at 10 p.m. and the rerun on Tuesday at 2 p.m. only on KBC Channel 1, baby.
Engage us on Facebook and Twitter, #Grapevine on KBC. Let us know what is happening in your area code, because you know what they say, if you did not see it on Grapevine,
then it most probably never happened. Bah!
Ain't nobody gotta tell you what you gotta do.
That is now the signing ceremony at the Villarosa Kempinski between the Ministry of Information and Communication and the Digital Economy, signing of the Memorandum of Understanding between the Ministry and the United Nations Development Program. Now, the MOU aims to augment the government's capacities to drive digital transformation in the country, and in particular realize the digital economy strategy by enhancing skills within the public sector, advancing the institutionalization and implementation of the digital systems, and the digitalization of government services. Remember, the president said that very soon over 50,000 government services will be found online. Mheshimiwa Ruku, this must be an important bill, having in mind that we are also discussing the issue to do with going digital in terms of elections and how elections will be done. Probably, what's your take on this, to digitize government services?
Kenya Kwanza, during campaigns, promised Kenyans that all government services will be digital. And true to it, that promise was fulfilled by the president a few weeks ago, when he launched over 5,000, I think, the services at the moment can be able to be accessed by Kenyans at the comfort of their houses. And this is what we are seeing this morning, that getting support from United Nations Development Program to ensure all the government services are digital. This is a great stride in making government services efficient, so that the bureaucracy and red tapes which citizens experience going to government offices in terms of getting birth certificate, getting ID, getting birth certificate, getting passport, getting good conduct certificate, registration of RAND, getting stamp duty, getting paying taxes, getting tax compliance certificate. There are so many services which you get from government, And the government is trying to bring these services at the doorstep, not at the doorstep, at your hand. You can be able to access
it's a one-stop shop. When you go digital, everything is found online.
This is critical in getting an efficient economy, and Kenya is leading this. In Africa, we are doing quite well.
Absolutely.
And this is the right way. And the Kenya Kwanza government is fulfilling the promises we gave to the citizens.
Justina, digital way is the way to go. I'm trying to imagine the now. I mean, where will Kenya be, digitally speaking?
I think we will have achieved what our peers have achieved.
Yeah, years ago.
Yeah. But it's a step in the right direction. Though even with digitalization should come even the ease of doing things. If you're charged in court today, you plead guilty, you have a it take you 5 hours. Remember, there's that whole corruption, looking for someone, your file is not being found. But I remember there was a time in court, the clerks were there at the court, you know.
Yeah.
When the judge says this, you pay the clerk karaka. So digitization should come with the ease of even getting services. But on something else I've noticed is that government said that they're going to give free Wi-Fi hotspots.
Yes, across the country.
How I wish it was in schools, because now I will not go sit somewhere at a bus stop to keep on, surfing. But also the taxes on internet. Government should also look at about the taxes, because if they're giving us free hotspots, why not lower the taxes on internet bundles so that everyone can access whichever because remember, Mheshimiwa, if you look at Facebook, for example, if you look at Facebook, Mheshimiwa, on Friday when you post, during the week, so many people are seeing your post, but over the weekend, these are slow. And then on Monday, people are again online. It means people make use of the Wi-Fi at the office. Yes. So let's make internet bundles affordable.
Yeah. That has been done through the finance bill, and we're asking, of course, it is in court. The process will be expedited so that Kenyan can enjoy low cost of internet or internet bundles, because there's a deduction of excise duty on internet. I think if I check my notes from I think 15% to, so all these were considered by Kenya Kwanza administration when the finance bill was being crafted. So we expect to enjoy low costs of excise duty on telephone and internet reduced from 20% to 15%.
20 to 15.
20% to 15%.
Okay.
But they increased mobile transfer charges from 12% to 15%.
So
exit program.
So you can only transfer money if you have money.
Yeah.
So it is a fair thing. There are quite a number of things which were decreased. That is taxes removed, so many of them, and we don't want to go back to that debate at the moment. I think so, because we are in that debate for quite some time, for a month or so, when we are discussing the finance bill.
Yeah, all right. I think that's the right way to go, because all of us depend, digitally speaking. All of us would agree that right now, even if you're flagged down by a police officer, they ask you where's your driving license, you go digital. I've seen, your ID number or something of that side, and you drive away. This is the way to go.
But I think it is important to request anyone who is commenting about the Maandamano bill to first of all take time and lead from the introduction to the last section, so that I realize most of Kenyans don't have the culture of reading, and it's going to have to read and internalize before we comment. Because saying that the bill will curtail rights, if you go to section 6 of the bill, it talks clearly that every person has a right to peacefully assemble, demonstrate, picket, and present petition to public authorities. That's section 6.1. Then section 6.2 says that the right provided in subsection 1 shall be limited to the extent that such limitation is necessary and reasonable in a democratic society in the interest of public safety, public order, and the protection of right and freedom of the other person. Because what you have seen in the demonstration, the rights, the protection of rights and freedom of the other person are completely neglected during the demonstration. We have to ensure, because we are not cut, I don't know, from the same frame. We have different shade of opinion. So for those who have different opinion, their rights must also be protected. Their freedoms must also be protected. This constitution should not only protect the right of those who want to demonstrate, but also it should protect the right of those others who don't want to demonstrate. Yeah. And more so, the right of our children to go to school on Wednesday is a cardinal, is an extremely critical right which we have to protect. The right of children to go to school. What have the children done? They never voted. They never participated in any elections. They don't know even what demonstrations are. So why are we making that our children are not going to school? It is their right. It is the same constitution which talks about that every child has a right to education. Yeah. Then we ensure on Wednesday children not go to school. Okay, so we have to ensure the protection of right and freedom of other persons are respected, and we can only do so by coming up with a piece of law that is guiding the nation towards achieving that. All right.
I want us to come to a close before we get to the last bit of our discussion before we finalize. There's that part of the bill which says that the bill further outlines a prohibition for picketers such as that requiring that they do not wear any form of appeared that resembles any of the uniform worn by the security forces, including the police and Kenya Defence Forces, possess any offensive weapons, or wear any apparel or item which obscures his face or prevents his identification. And of course, it also says that they should not have things to do with the placards, billboards. They should not.
No. It doesn't say that. It says they should not carry placards which are inciting the public. Okay. It doesn't say that you should not carry. You can carry placards, but they should have messages which are not inciting the public.
Okay.
Yes.
So wait.
You should not also wear military fatigue. You should not also wear police uniform. It is important.
So what is the stage of this bill as you speak?
It's at the committee stage. We expect once we resume on 25th of this month, we will go to the committee, or I think the Committee of Justice and Legal Affairs, where I will take the committee through each and every section of the bill. Then immediately after that, it will come to Parliament for the first reading.
All right. Before we finalize, your take on this bill. It's quite contentious because it comes at a time when Kenya is going through a lot, politically speaking. But does it mean that when you're doing it, it's because the shoe is on this other side of the feet? Have you looked at 20, 30 years that you might find yourself on the other side? Remember what the president, deputy president said the other side in Bomas?
I will be ready to do demonstration in a peaceful manner. You don't need to destroy property and injure people and paralyze public transport for you to do demonstration. I have seen demonstration in Israel where they demonstrate even a month, and you will not see any loss of property, you will not see any person injured because they are civilized society. We need to be a civilized society.
Okay. Justina, your closing remarks on that.
On the bill, I think Kenyans need to understand that rights come with responsibilities. So it is prudent that today you may want to go for mandamano, but tomorrow you have a job and you don't want to go. Then how are you going to be protected? Will you be safe on the jam, or someone will come bash your windscreen and all that? So I think that bill is progressive. It's something that should instill discipline. That in as much as I'm going for the protest, I need to protect the person who is not going. So it's something in the right direction.
All right.
Yes.
Wishma, thank you so much, and we wish you all the best as you push with that bill. Okay, before we finalize, let's talk about the issue of the state of the economy currently as we are. On a scale of 1 to 10, where are we, Mheshimiwa Ruku? A scale of 1 to 10. State of our nation.
Other than demonstration, the government is doing everything possible to ensure the economy is back on track. Remember, Kenya Kwanza administration inherited very threatened the economy. There was only 93 million Kenyan shillings by the day of swearing in, where the handshake brothers, they went on a borrowing spree. We found this nation in extremely high levels of debt, which Kenya Kwanza administration is paying. And minimizing the borrowing by over 500 billion Kenyan shilling, both domestic and international foreign debts. So remember the investment which Kenya Kwanza government has made in education is the highest, 59 billion in this year's budget. So all the necessary aligning different sectors of our economy with the budget has been done, and we'll be seeing the fruit of what the administration is doing by next year, July, when we'll be going to another budget. Other than demonstration, Kenya Kwanza is doing extremely well. I can give it at around 8.5 out of 10.
Okay.
This other of demonstration, we are going to deal with it come on Wednesday. It will be the last day of organization of violent demonstration.
I'm quite curious to see what will happen on Wednesday.
Wednesday is the last day when we'll be experiencing violent demonstration.
Promise me you'll be here back next week on Monday.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Live on air. Out of, on a scale of 1 to 10, he's given Kenya Kwanza 8.5%. Where are we, generally speaking?
Not 8.5%.
8.5 out of 10.
Out of 10. That's 85%.
Okay, fair enough.
Yes.
Yes, so too generous.
My scaling is as a business person, no,
Yes.
not in politics. 1 out of 10. Number one, the president is always doing appointments.
That is so mean.
I'm going to be honest. One, he's always doing appointments. Every week we're seeing someone is getting a job. So they have never gotten to do the job. Number two, look at our fuel in this economy is the driver. Remember, many people, even when you see the drivers, the matatu drivers striking, because if you put fuel of 5,000, that is your stock for that day, if you're in transport. But you ask yourself, what is this for 5,000? What is it going to give me at the end of it all? What are my profits? So they have failed on that, and I think they need to give us back the fuel subsidies. Remember, in as much as it's a global issue, you have to hedge yourself, hedge your citizens from these global challenges. So they have the money, and they shouldn't tell us it was a dilapidated economy. Rigathi Gachagua told us during the first Mandamano that the government lost 2 billion. So they have been collecting money here and there, but they're not using the money on priorities. All these travels, and when a president is moving, remember, in terms of logistics, it's a cost implication. Kenyans are seeing on social media that a CS has a watch worth 1.4 million. So Kenyans are wondering, you're raising taxes, you guys are eating well, and us are struggling. So from an SME perspective, the economy is doing poorly. Kenyans don't have money. There is no circulation of money in the economy. And even someone who is selling food right now is saying they're not selling tomatoes, they're not selling onions. They're wondering whether people are eating boiled food or what. So I think the government should stop looking at even those investors, the big investors. Look at even the small mwananchi. What are they saying on the ground? Even Mutumba people, they no longer sell clothes. Are you going to buy food or clothes? So I think 1 out of 10 is fair enough, and it is challenge for them to pull up their socks and give Kenyans what they promised.
Mheshimiwa, if you are to sit on the other side of the aisle, leave alone being on the Kenya Kwanza, and assume that you are sitting with the likes of Martha Karua, Honorable Raila Odinga, etc., what alternative would you give, apart from going to the streets?
I'll tell the team, please go to different corners of the country in a peaceful manner. Tell them what you do best or differently from what the government is doing, and come 2027, probably would have convinced Kenyans to vote you, and you form the government. This business of just running around Nairobi, they will not be able to form the next government. So I'll tell them, please do what we call retail politics. So one place at a time. Go talk to people slowly, endear yourself. Let people know you are not that bad, you are not that violent. And that way, probably by 2027, they will have convinced the masses, and they will form the next government.
Yeah.
But this business of just making announcement, and let's say meet in Kamkonji, even William Ruto can make announcement and say, I'll be in Kamkonji on this day, I'll be in Uhuru Park on this day, and people will be there. But do you know those people?
Yeah.
You need to have one-on-one touch with the people. Raila Odinga need to have a contact in Mbere he can call. Today he doesn't have. You need to have a contact in different constituencies. You can only do that if you sit down with people, you eat with them, you dance with them, you listen to them. So you need to populate his phone with contact of humble people, not just brokers. Real people down on the ground. People live in their spaces, in their villages 24/7. Today, William Ruto has a contact almost in each and every division in this country. Someone they have a direct touch with. And that person is not a teacher, is just a commoner in that village.
Okay.
You can be able to pick a call and say, I'm going to call a village in Siaya and talk to someone.
All right. Justina, I'm quite curious to ask you this question. When you're on the campaign trail, of course you had your manifesto, you had your blueprints, whatever you're going to deliver. So let's be hypothetical this one. Assume that you won the election. How would you and Professor would have run this country, politically speaking, for it to be stable, devoid of such what we're seeing right now?
It's a tough question because...
Taking you back to
where I left.
Yes.
It's a tough question because remember, as a leader, you need to have a spine, you need to have a stand. So I think we would have been at the risk of some external forces infiltrating what we are doing. Remember, we didn't have MPs, governors, and those all other positions. So probably it would have been a difficult task. But something I can say that I have done now. Many Kenyans were asking me, you told us at that time you were speaking about legalize marijuana.
Yes.
So what happened to that conversation? Because you told us it's not for smoking. So I've taken to the petition to the National Assembly using the Procedures Petitions Act 2012 to decriminalize industrial hemp. We do not want to smoke or do, even someone who wants to smoke can smoke it. For purposes of using it as a raw material, for which is short cycle, remember it grows in 4 months, and also it's environmentally friendly because we need industries in this country. So I think it would have been a tough task for us if we had won. But let me add, if it was the alternative.
Exactly.
Because I'm also not in Azimio Kenya Kwanza. One, I would remind Kenyans or my supporters that when Uhuru Kenyatta had said he's not going to give the sword to a thief, but because Uhuru Kenyatta was briefed, he had undiluted information about who won. That is why he gave William Ruto the power. That one we need to be very honest. Because I think if Uhuru had known that Ruto did not win, then maybe he would not have passed power to him. Number two, we need to tell Kenyans the truth, that the minority sits in the oversight committees, you know, they have power there on the floor of the house. Or the other approach, which is not going to affect the economy, is through what the courts, what Omtata has done. Because at the end of it all, you as an investor, you look at a few things like political stability, environmental, economic, legal framework, and even the social aspect, you know. So I think the more we are having the chest thumping from both sides, this country needs a middle ground. People who are saying, we are not going to be part of this regime issues, the part of ruling class issues, we just want services. So it's important to tell Kenyans the truth, that as it is now, we need to grow. Why did China grow? China grew because of continuous improvement, because of honesty, because of meritocracy. We need to be focusing on those things if we want to be a leader in Africa, if not the world.
Allow me to treat that as your closing remarks. Do we have hope for this country?
Yes, we have hope, but we have hope only if we shun big money spent in campaigns. To be very honest, Raila is not doing this for himself. There are many people who funded his campaign. Kenya Kwanza is not doing this for themselves. They have many people who funded their campaigns. That is why we are seeing even Palmer is being noted in the edible oils. So you as an individual Kenyan, can you support political parties from the grassroots? Stop expecting Mheshimiwa kuja na pesa. No. Own the process, invest in the process, so that when someone is doing anything, you'll remind them, I gave you 5 shillings and I want you to behave.
This is what's supposed to do.
Yes.
All right, Mheshimiwa Ruku, final remarks.
We are calling Kenyans to be peaceful on Wednesday. Kenya Kwanza members of parliament and leaders will ensure that we have peaceful demonstration. All Kenyans of goodwill to participate in this peaceful enforcement, that we have peace in all our towns, no property will be destroyed, and to assure Kenyans that the government led by William Ruto is doing all what it takes to ensure we have a proper working economy, which is going to create jobs for all the young people and everybody within the economy. We are going to ensure, we're going to enjoy the cost of living coming down, but it's going to take some time, probably up to July next year, when the effect of this budget, which was read this month, or last month, sorry, will be taking to effect. And we'll be forwarding to Parliament very progressive bills to ensure Kenya as a society is well guided with progressive laws. Or laws to do with demonstrations as the one we have, laws to do with elections, sustainable development law, and other laws to ensure our society is well guided.
Right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Just Nomai, progressive politician. She was the running mate to Professor Jako in the last general election and the Roots Party. A very strong lady here in our country, and of course Godfrey Ruku, Member of Parliament, Mbeere North constituency. Thank you so much for joining us on the show. It's 9 on the dot. You as a viewer, asante sana for being part of Good Morning Kenya. This is where we wrap it up, but my colleague Vivian Ndegwa has an amazing interview. This gentleman has been walking across Africa on foot. What is he up to? Vivian Ndegwa has that after this. Stay with us. Good morning. I'm Victor Lobaba.
What is going on here, Amparo? What are you doing with this peasant?
Can you please leave and don't waste my time? Put that away. Don't do it. I'm begging you. I beg you, don't kill me. Don't do it.
It just turned blue.
My father is being poisoned through his toothpaste.
What else do you want me to do so you'll accept that I didn't deceive you? I want you to know that I can't live without you. I can't imagine life without you.
Las bandidas.
I'm gonna love you when you're here with me, and love you when you're gone. Do what you want as long as you're with me. Say what you want as long as I hear you call every name. I'm still in love with you, boy. Let us go to the land of love.
When I come home, everything should be alright. So mommy, hold on.
Make me lie when I don't want to. Make someone else some kind of unknowing fool. Make me stay.
제보요. 뭐가 잘 안 풀려, 강 사장?
죄도 안 풀려. 아니, 꼬여가기만 하네.
야! 너 똑바로 안 해? 아니 어떤 놈이 앞으로 길 막으라 우려? 이게 범벅하야! 저 수사받던 뭐야? 이?
Nikae chini.
Nimekuambia ukae kwa kiti.
Sasa ndio umesema nikae kwa kiti. Ulikuwa umesema kaa.
Mimi hata usinipongeze. I don't want anything. I'm doing it free of charge.
Unaniachilia tu hivi mnaniambia nipeane story saa inchi vile inakaa. Inchi vile inakaa simwangalie kwa TV mtaona vile inakaa.
Leo umeshinda mbio moja sasa umekuwa championi.
Na gani umekasirika mama?
Wacha tuendelee na sherehe hiyo, maneno yako ya zawadi ndakutayarishia.
Teresa nini na kunipea kasota kama mimi ni mtoto wa shule? Mimi ni mtoto wa shule, mimi nimetoka shule unanipea 2 ama unipei?
Wewe mbona uko hivi? Mbona una aibu ndogo hivi?
Bebe, basi hii ndio shida yangu kubwa hii.
Nani aliyekwenda kumwambia shemeji kuhusu mambo yako na Laba?
Nani mwingine kama si huyo dadangu alotoka kwenye Aila Visa?
Naona kama huyo Antipili ana mambo yake. Kila siku mambo yanazidi kuwa mazito.
Yaani wewe huwezi kukaa bila kusumbua mtu, sio?
Najua yote ni plani yako.
Welcome back to Good Morning Kenya. My name is Vivian Degwa. Now, at the very beginning of the show, I asked the question, just how adventurous are you? Well, if you ask me, not that much. The most I've done is cycle at Karura and maybe jet skiing in Diani, but that's just about that. Now, I am joined today by a crazy explorer. I'll do the crazy in quotes because whatever he's doing is a lot. He has taken it upon himself to traverse Africa, and not by, a cars or a plane. He is doing it on foot. Pablo Nimo, the explorer, is on the program with us today. Pablo, welcome to the show.
Good morning. Thank you very much for inviting me. Pleasure to be here.
Pleasure to have you on here as well. I just want to know, my colleague asked just what exactly is the motive, and I want to get straight into it. Like, where did this come from? Take me back to when you first had that thought of I want to walk through Africa.
Well, this thought of a long journey come a long time ago. I always been very passionate about travels, and doing it in a very pure way, in a raw way. But it is true that specifically this journey, the main idea came during the pandemic, right? Or when the pandemic in Europe was starting to go a little bit lower. When I go out on the street, I just felt very disconnected from the society that I was feeling. I feel like I don't belong to the Western society anymore, which is a very strong thought. But just that's what was on my mind. So I really don't have a specific answer, if I'm honest with you. It just came like something inside of me, like a call, like, Pablo, you need to go, to find yourself, to connect with the planet, right? There's so much out there to see, to experience, to explore. So, I just decided, I prepared myself, and then I started to think, like, in all the ways possible to traverse a continent or to do a long journey. How is it, like people is being doing by bicycle, motorbike, hitchhiking. And then just came this random thought on my mind, like, what about if I walk? Would that be possible? How would that be? And then I started to prepare myself to see how many people accomplished it in history. So far, I found 6 people that walked the length of Africa. And I saw how many interesting stories they had in their lives and how crazy our experience it was, right? I was like, wow. So then, on November 2021, I left my home in Madrid, Spain. I flew to Cape Town, South Africa. And then I started to walk from South Africa all the way until here in Nairobi, Kenya.
That's where the journey began, in South Africa. And I would just want to know, like, what were you doing before you started this adventure?
Well, before, I've been a professional dancer for 14 years of my life. My career started way earlier when I was 15, 16, 14, you know, when I was in my teenager era. And then I just started my career in London, in the UK. Then I moved to United States. I was in Los Angeles training with some of the best people in the industry. That's where I really got into my career 100% until nowadays, which obviously I'm not dancing professionally right now, but I'm dancing along the way, of course, with all communities and people, because Africa is dance. So, yeah.
Yeah. The name Nemo, I'm sure many people know that name from the animation film Finding Nemo. Is that where it came from? Because Nemo is kind of like an explorer as well.
Kind of like, I'm straight up from the movie, straight up. So, yeah, I mean, it's a simple nickname that people gave me when I was in my early ages of dancing as a teenager. It came just like a funny nickname, and then I just stay with it until nowadays. So yeah, that's how I use it now, Pablo Nemo. Yeah.
So what's the aim? What's your end goal?
You know, it's all about the beauty of the planet, to be honest. I could give you like 100 reasons why and this and that, but it's all about the planet. When you're out there on the road, and if people that go long distances or long journeys nowadays is listening to me, they would understand that the way you connect with the planet is something absolutely amazing. You feel overwhelmed. Every day is a new day. You just feel connected with all the surrounding environment that is around you. You know, it's really something very amazing. So my main aim is to show the beauty of the planet. I want to inspire the humanity to live connected with the planet and to go for their dreams. That's my main aim, my main goal.
One must be very brave to take on such a challenge. Don't you agree? Like, it takes courage to be on such a journey.
It is, but it also is all about vision and alignment with the voice of your soul. Right? Like, I believe a lot of humans nowadays in this planet, we've been silent to the voice that we have in our soul to follow our dreams because of different reasons. We got to the point of belief, oh, my work is more important than what I feel in my soul, you know, or this problem is more important, or this person is not giving me a like on Instagram. How come? That is really important right now in my life. Wow. It is not. The important is, what do you come here for? What is your soul standing for? Right? So I just answered that to myself. I was like, what I'm here for. I love dancing, it's my passion, but the planet is there for to be explored, is my home, you know. I want to see what we have right now and also what the next generations to come will see. So yeah, it's all about commitment, vision, and listen to your inner voice that we all have in us.
Yeah. How was the preparation process like for you? I'd love to get into that. Like, before you took that flight to go to South Africa, how well did you prepare yourself? Like, did you have a map planned out? Just take me through that process.
It was not very, very, very crazy, you know, as people may think. I absolutely trained myself on the gym, even on the mountains surrounding Madrid, you know, to trek, to get a bit of like the vibe of the journey with my backpack, with a 10-12 kilo backpack, to understand how it feels. Of course, when you're on the route in South Africa, it's a total different story, but just to get a little bit. And preparation process was more in terms of mentally, like, okay, I'm going to do this. I know it's going to be a long time. I need to be committed to it, right? And then maybe on the other side of preparation is more to tell your people, your surroundings, like, hey, I'm going to do this, you know? And just listen to them. And some people will be like, no, you're not going to do it. That is impossible. That is crazy. Or some people will be like, okay, take your chances. This is your dream. Go for it, you know? So in the whole preparation, I would say is more of like a half physical, half mental. But if I have to give like a more preparation thing, it would be more mentally, you know? Maybe for the 8 months before I started the journey, that's when I really commit to prepare.
Yeah, I can imagine the reaction that your family had when you told them, yo guys, adios muchachos, I'm out. I'll be going for several days, because so far you've done more than 600 days. So how was that for them?
Yeah, I love the adios muchachos. That's a very nice one. They were silent, most of the people. Like how you tell them like, I'm gonna walk the entire length of Africa, people would be silent. They would be like, okay, you know. But then they understood it's something deeper there, right? So yeah, I mean, I don't take much in consideration like external influences. I was just like, this is for myself. I will do it for myself. Whoever that believes in me is welcome. If they don't, the only person that needs approval for what I'm gonna do, it's me, it's myself. So when you're very committed to that, the rest it really doesn't matter. You just go for it, you know?
Yeah. So you're alone on this journey. You're alone.
Completely alone.
Does it not get lonely?
It does. It does, but it's also one of the learnings of this journey, you know. When you're alone, you learn how to be with yourself, which is something very important, right? Like nowadays, of course, we are surrounding a lot of different stimuli, you know, like all over, from the Instagram or the social media or anything that surrounds you. When you're alone, you are really with yourself. And in a very deep way, right? You wake up with the sunrise, you go down with the sunset, you go to sleep with the sunset. The way you interact with people when you're alone is much more deeper, right? So you have the time to develop a spiritual journey within yourself that in other way you cannot do it. So it's very intense. Sometimes it's something that you wish like, oh, like I hope we had someone here with me, you know, just to share this moment. But most of the time that you're alone, it's a blissful moment. It's very powerful, and you are really in a growing space.
Yeah. Have you ever gotten to a point where you're just like, I think I made the wrong decision. I want to quit. I want to go back home. This is too much.
Of course, it is extreme moments when you can feel like that, you know. And even like I talk about it with myself, like, well, like why am I doing this? Like it really. You cannot have good days every day, right? But at the end, even if you want to quit sometimes and all that becomes part of the journey. But not only of this journey, that the journey of life. It is like this. Like maybe you're doing something you're very passionate for a lot of time in your life, but you want to quit because you feel like, this is not for me, or you have ups and downs. It's okay. It's just to have the internal conversation with you and be like, okay, it's natural to feel like this, but my purpose is bigger, and I'm going to overcome, and I'm gonna make it, right? So that's what I like. I try to make like a positive thought on it, you know, and go stronger on it. So whatever I have like these down thoughts, I'm like, no, like get yourself together and keep going. Yeah.
What sets you apart from other explorers? You say that you researched and saw that there are other people who have done the same thing. So just what sets you apart?
Well, every journey is different, right? I cannot compare myself to others because for every person, their journey is special for a reason. Plus, I don't think it's me, maybe the person that needs to answer like I am different because of this, right? What I know is because I am doing this. So as I told you before, the only person that needs recognition for what I'm doing is myself. And I don't do it for self-glory or, you know, to be out there like, oh, like you did it. No, my main aim is I'm gonna do this for myself and for the beauty of the planet. And right now I'm recording a movie documentary on my journey, and that's what I want to show. I want to show the spiritual journey that we're all going through. So in terms of comparison, I think I really do respect all the people that gets out there on the road. They deserve my respect in any way that they do it. So I cannot compare myself to them because all of them, they're doing something super amazing. And they are going out there taking the risk of you know, following their dreams. So, yeah.
Yeah. How many countries have you done so far, and how many are remaining? How many are you planning to cover generally?
My initial plan was 11 countries. Right now, Kenya is my country number 8. It is true that now is a challenge presenting, which is Sudan, because the countries that I have left are Ethiopia, Sudan, and Egypt, of course, still Kenya. But in Sudan, as everyone knows, now it's going through a conflict. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to really go through Sudan. We'll have to search for an alternative on the way, which is also fine. But that would be, of course, like interesting, you know, in terms of like how I'm going to deal with all that bureaucracy, maybe just to get in the country if I can, or we'll see how it goes. But 11 countries was the original purpose. Yeah.
8 down.
8 down already. Yes.
We have 54 countries in Africa. How did you narrow down to the 11?
If I'm honest with you, I was looking for the most iconic, maybe. It was my first time exploring this Africa in this way, so I really dream about the Victoria Falls, Zambezi River, Kilimanjaro, Serengeti, Masai Mara, reach the pyramids of Egypt. I wanted to do something like that felt iconic in a way, or for how I felt iconic. I'm not saying that the other countries of Africa are not iconic. I'm not saying that at all. But for the way I envision it, I was like, East Africa, I don't know, I just connected with the Kalahari. There was a lot of stimulus for my personal purpose that I felt interested in. So that's why, okay, let me go East rather than Western.
Okay, you just mentioned the Kalahari Desert, and you've gone through the Kalahari, actually the driest point of the Kalahari Desert. And my question is, did you have enough supplies, or how do you go about it? Like, do you cook along the way? Do you have enough water? What if you're in a place where there are no shops? For example, at the Kalahari, how do you go about that?
Well, the Kalahari Desert crossing, I did not cross the entire desert because the desert is not only in a country. I was crossing through Botswana, but the desert is in South Africa and also a part of Namibia, right? So basically, in terms of food and water, it was a big challenge. It was a big challenge. Water, I took it from the rain sometimes because I was doing it in the rain season, so it gave me a window of collect water from the rain. But also on the small villages that I was finding on the way, you got the locals collecting water in buckets, big buckets from the rain. So that allowed me also to interact with them and collect water. But water was a real challenge because I was maybe having access to a liter or less than a liter per day. So that means that while you're walking, you're sweating, you're losing a lot of water, you need to restore it. So that was a big challenge. I was like a 20 days in the Kalahari, kind of like in and out, trying to figure out my way through. And then in terms of food, very basic peanut butter, oats. And then the locals just discovered me a fruit on the desert called mosumo, which is like a green tomato inside that you can chew it. And that also keeps you like a little bit going, but mostly about peanut butter and oats. That was my entire diet.
That's all you eat? I mean, is that good for your health?
No, it's not actually. I think the Kalahari Desert, now when I look at the footage, I probably lost 5-6 kilos just on the Kalahari Desert. Plus, mentally, it was a big challenge, not talking much to people, being alone for so many days, heat and then huge storms, and just like you have to overcome every single day a lot. And that was a big challenge. That was a big challenge.
Okay. Now, Pablo, I know there are people who are watching from home and they're just like, is this guy being serious? So, don't you take cars at all? Like, are you just on foot throughout? And when you come to cross, say, lakes, what happens? Just for the doubting Thomases who are just like, this guy is just kind of playing with us.
Sure. I do have these questions a lot, and I'm always honest because it is what it is. I do walk, and then I do take cars when and only when. For example, I want to go to the coast. Okay, so let's say, for example, I walked, for example, from Namanga to Nairobi, which took me 8 days to accomplish. And then once I was in Nairobi, I wanted to go to the coast. Okay, so in terms of visa and all that, it would be so hard and crazy just to be like, okay, now I'm gonna walk to the coast, up and down, make it back. That is not possible. Or if it is possible, but it's not very comfortable to do it, especially for the body. So I just allow myself to, for example, take a train. I went all over the coast of Kenya, and I enjoy myself, and that gives me oxygen to my mind also. And then when I come back into Nairobi, then I walk back to Ethiopia, So, for example, when it's a coastline, as in Tanzania and Kenya, I did that, Or, for example, a very exceptional case, if I have something that I really want to see 70, 80, 90 kilometers out of my way, then I can hitchhike, go see it, and then come back. But mainly I'm walking in an uninterrupted way. That's why I've been more than 600 days already in Africa.
Yeah.
So the cars is a very exceptional way, you know. Here in Kenya I've done it and it's beautiful, but it's not the way I do it usually. Yeah.
Okay, you're mainly on foot. It's just that when you need to take a car, that's when you take a car.
Yes, but walking. This purpose is walking, and then that's how I do it. Yeah. I'm not like, oh, I'm tired, I'm gonna take a car. No. I can rest, and then tomorrow I carry on. But I'm not like feeling comfortable. Okay, let me take a car. Then no.
What do you do in these countries? Say you've landed in Botswana. What are the activities that are taking place?
Well, it's not activities. I go with the flow, literally. I just enter the country, and then I just decide as I go, like how I do it. You know, how I talk to people, how I approach the communities. Oh, it's interesting to go and check on the Kabango Delta. Then I'll go. You know, or of course I need to see the Victoria Falls. Then I'll go. But what happens in between is really absolutely with the flow as I go. I don't plan much. I just go.
Okay. Pablo says he just goes with the flow. We'll go on with this conversation, but right now, let's take a very short break. We'll be back.
And there are so many What is going on here, Amparo? What are you doing with this peasant?
Can you please leave and don't waste my time? Put that away. Don't do it. I'm begging you. I beg you, don't kill me. Don't do it.
It just turned blue.
My father is being poisoned through his toothpaste.
What else do you want me to do so you'll accept that I didn't deceive you? I want you to know that I can't live without you. I can't imagine life without you.
Las Bandidas.
The stage is set for a showcase of global talent as Kenya hosts the World Rugby Under-20 Trophy for the second time from the 15th to 30th of July at the Nyayo National Stadium. This year's edition will see 8 teams battle over 4 match days for a place in the World Rugby Under-20 Championship in 2024. Catch the matches live on KBC Channel 1, your true sports partner.
Welcome back. Pablo is in studio with us, and he is just taking us through the journey that he is taking, a journey where he is traversing Africa on foot. Pablo, you've been through so many countries, 8 already. Do you go along picking maybe some languages? I heard you asking hapa in Swahili, and I was like, what? I thought you only know Jambo. So do you go about picking languages, and have you picked all the some language from all the countries?
Yeah, I think the language that I most speak actually is Swahili. All languages are different. Some of them are very hard for me to know. You know, of course, as I go on the way, I pick up some words that can be useful for me, as good morning or what about this or that. But Swahili, I think, is the one that I most speak, right? Like mambo, asante sana, poa poa, sawa. You know, like I know everybody would be laughing, like, what is this guy doing? But yeah,
no,
like
actually, the pronunciation is actually on point.
Is it good? Is it good? There you go. So you know, or like here in Kenya, people say when you're about to have lunch, like chakula poa, you know, or something like this. I don't know. I found it interesting. Yeah, and for me it's funny, to learn all these languages, to get with the communities, and it's also a way to break the ice sometimes when you get in a place. So yeah, I love it. Yeah.
What lessons have you picked along the way?
Well, that's a very deep question, actually. Main lesson, I think, is to be present with your life, to be present today, what you are doing. When you walk, is the most important way of feeling present what we are doing right now, with your thoughts, with your spirit. And also to just don't worry about past or future. Universe, I really believe universe will provide. Life will adjust your vision. So this is I think is one of the main lessons, And also, just now that you told this question, I just remember one quote from Will Smith, just saw like some weeks ago, that he was saying that happiness is peace, right? I think he was very right with that. And peace is one of the main things that I've been getting through all this journey. When you are in peace, like, wow, that really feels like you are comfortable with yourself, So yeah, happiness is peace. I would say it really represents one of the biggest lessons that I've learned all the way. Yeah.
How do you stay in communication while on this journey? Because you need to get maybe a new line when you get to every country. Maybe there are places where the internet is not really good. So how do you stay in touch with everyone else?
I don't do that much, to be honest. I'm not the kind of person that every time that I get in a country, I get a SIM card or anything like this. For example, here in Kenya, I do. But on all the other countries, I didn't. When I get Wi-Fi or any kind of connection, then yes, and I get the time to be like, hey, I'm okay. Maybe I upload some pictures and stuff. But also to be very connected disconnects you from the main aim, which is the nature and what is out there. So that's like a personal decision that I made. I tell my people like, hey, I'm gonna be disconnected for this long until you will know about me again.
Yeah.
And they're fine with that, So yeah, that was a very decision that I made from the very beginning.
Okay.
Not to be very connected.
Yeah, you want to be connected with nature. That's your aim, right?
It is.
Yeah. So what are some of the physical challenges that you've had to go through?
Well, physical challenges, it happens every day, especially maybe walk on the rain is hell sometimes, or with extreme temperatures, which here in Africa mostly is heat. That is when the physical challenge it really comes in, because it's not only the amount of kilometers that I'm setting that day, which usually is 20, 25. It comes also maybe the terrain, or as I'm saying, the heat, right? Maybe you don't have much water on you, and you know that you need to make maybe 20 kilometers to the next village. Like, that's when the fun parts come a little bit, right? When you have to be like, okay, I gotta make it, or make decisions also, which decisions also are very important, right? Of like, okay, I'm not doing it, and then I'm gonna rest, and then I'll see tomorrow, even if I don't have water, or I keep going, even that I'm not feeling very well, right? So sometimes you have to deal with that. Plus, I've been sick sometimes. I've been in the hospital in Botswana, for example, with an infection.
I was to ask that question. Do you ever get sick? Have you ever gotten sick along the way?
I did. 2 times. It's been a bit hard, a bit tough. First one was in Botswana, when I was about to cross the Kalahari Desert. Remember this. My friend, if you have anthrax, you're gonna be the first case in 40 years that I see of anthrax, right? So I'm having like a big infection on my foot. I was like very not knowing what's going on, high fever. I was for 5 days. My legs were very inflamed, and then I recovered myself. I commit, and then I crossed the Kalahari Desert, right? That was a tough one. And then the other one, it was in Tanzania. I was in the Rift Valley, living with the Maasai, out of any kind of tourism industry, just living purely with them. And you know that the Maasai people, they usually drink milk from the cow. They also drink blood. So I was like, yeah, like sure, like let's drink, like the cow milk. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
And then when I drink the cow milk, after 30 minutes, I started to feel so bad, so bad. And then I told them like, I need to go like right now. So I had 42-degree fever. I traveled for more than 3 hours in a bus to get back to Arusha. Extremely 42-degree fever, or like almost losing my conscious, and I was for 2 days in Arusha with infection from the milk of the cow, which is something that I shouldn't do it.
That is what you get for trying things you're not used to.
There you go, right? Like, don't do it again. That was 2 tough times. That after that, I was like, oh my God, like how I'm going to walk again? I'm feeling weak, But again, it's everything is about recompose yourself and commit. It's all over in a cycle. If you let your brain or your mind be like, I can't do it, then you're telling yourself you can't do it, then you're gonna break for sure. But if you overcome and you're like, yes, just let me recover and I will make it, and then you go for it, you're fine.
They say if you think you can, then you can. If you think you can't, then you can't. It's all up to you.
Right.
Yeah.
It's what you tell yourself.
Yeah.
It's what you tell yourself. That's a powerful tool for real. Is how do you attract what you claim inside yourself. So yeah.
All right. You mentioned something to do with the terrains, and I would just love to know what's the most difficult or challenging terrain that you had to go through.
I will have to go back to desert terrains, desertic terrains, savanna terrains, and mountains. For example, Malawi is a very it has a lot of mountains, right? It's a country with a lot of mountains, also besides the lake, which is beautiful. But that is a challenge because you cannot commit to do a lot of kilometers per day. I kept it like 15, 12, because I have my backpack. Sometimes the terrain is like, the levels of the terrain are quite high, quite low. You go up and down. So mountains and desert, I have to come to that too. Is the most extreme, or when you feel most tired, or you gotta really you gotta be focused on every day what you do. Yeah.
What's the most interesting story you can tell from? You've done 8 countries, so just from 3, if you can pick 3 countries and tell me about an interesting story from each of the 3 countries.
Okay, I will give you one of Kenya. Okay, I start with the other 2. One interesting, very, very shocking, by the way. It's in Zimbabwe. I was, for example, arrested on the town of Bulawayo for not wearing a face mask. And which was very funny about this is that it was a police officer that just arrested me, and he was not wearing a face mask, which was quite funny. And then they arrested me, and they handcuffed me in a very aggressive way, took me to the police station and said, you pay $1,000 or you could go to a trial. And I'm like, come on, like this, there's no way I'm gonna pay $1,000 and go to a trial just because I'm not wearing a face mask that you are not even wearing, So that was quite a thing, and I had to pretend to be a journalist and say, hey, I'm a journalist, I'm documenting things here in Zimbabwe. I hope this is not a mistake, right? And they were like, well, maybe it is. Let us just, let you go calmly. And I'm like, thank you. No, but even that is funny now, but that was a pushy situation. I was for 3 hours handcuffed. And they were like threatening me to go to prison if I don't pay. So that was a very shocking situation that I didn't expect, and I think it was very unfair. And then in Botswana, I was attacked by an Igbo. I was charged by an Igbo on the Okavango Delta. On a sunrise morning, beautiful sunrise morning on the Okavango Delta. And then this Igbo that was marking the territory the whole night on the lagoon, I was with a local paddling through the canoe, and then this Igbo just came out of the water looking at us. And then my colleague, he was like a little worried. He was like, I think this is not safe. He's looking at us, and then the Igbo just came underwater, and boom, he showed up in front of us, like running toward us, mouth open. And then we managed to put the mokoro, the traditional canoe, on the side on the shore, and then we had to get out of the mokoro very quick, and then the Igbo stopped, and he came back into the lagoon. So that was a very...
I mean, I'm already getting the adrenaline as you tell that story. I can imagine, being in that moment.
It was very, very insane, actually. Oof. And it was one of these moments that you don't think, you just go because you're like, oh my God, what can I do, So that was very interesting. And then a third story about Kenya, I'll give you one. In the Lamu Island, You know, in Lamu, it's a lot of donkeys, right? The locals use the donkeys a lot to go back and forth inside the island. So I was like, this is interesting. Then I spoke with one of the locals and I said, sorry, can I have your donkey? I would like to walk with the donkey all around Lamu Island. And he was like, yeah, sure. So he gave me this beautiful donkey, which her name was Lucy. And then I walked with Lucy for some days around Lamu Island, which she became my friend. That was very cool. In the beginning, she didn't trust me. She was like, who are you? Why are you taking me here, you know? And I was not on her. I was walking with her. And then all the locals were like, my friend, come on, walk with her. Like, go on her. Like, no. I'm walking with Lucy. I'm not walking on Lucy.
Yeah.
And then it was nice. We were camping together, and you know, it was a fun time to walk with a donkey. It was beautiful. Yeah.
Can you imagine? Those are 3.
Yeah,
Do you
those are
want to
3.
add one more?
One more, okay.
Yeah.
Then I gotta come back maybe to the Kalahari. It was one night before I encountered the Bushmen in the middle of the Kalahari Desert that I slept surrounded by lions. They were roaring, you know, when they vocalized, they did the vocals. They were doing that around my tent for the whole night. And that was a very stressful moment. And I think that was the moment that I really stressed much myself in the whole journey. Because you are in the absolute dark, you're listening to them, they're around you, you don't know where they are. And that gets you a little bit of the adrenaline of, okay, I don't know really what to do. So I was patiently waiting in my tent, holding the knife. That's what I could do. And until 6 a.m., the whole night, they were roaring next to the tent. So then at 6 a.m., they were gone, 6:30, and then I could continue my journey. So that was also a very, very risky one.
So how long do you take in a specific country? Is it the same for every country, or it depends?
As much as the visa allows me, first. And then if I think or feel that I may need more days, then I just extend my visa, which in most of the countries is very easy. So yeah, and in terms of time, that is not a problem. Usually you can extend easily. So yeah, I would say maybe they usually give you 90 days per country. So 90 days, usually it is enough to cover some countries. It's not the case of Tanzania. Of course, I extended. So yeah, it depends.
Yeah. What's your experience this far, you know, from having experiencing all this on human impact on nature or on the planet generally?
Well, it is a huge impact of human activities on the planet. But talking specifically about Africa, I could see, especially when you speak with the elders, you know, the elder people that they've seen a lot, they are the ones that they can wisely tell you how it was and how it is now. And sometimes they tell you simple things as before here it was a lake, you know, when it rained it was a lake here. I remember this was in Zambia. But now for 15-20 years we don't see it anymore, and all the fish is gone. So we have to move ourselves, go to different places to fish. Why? They don't know why. But of course it's because, you know, they're having more extreme droughts, extreme dry weather, in this case in Africa. So the climate change is there, you know. And it's also true that sometimes people think climate change is only about warm, like, oh, it's getting warm, it's getting hot, this is the climate change. Well, it's not only that, it's also like it's more floods. The animals have to move themselves from the ecosystems that they were because maybe they don't find food, they don't find food there anymore, and they have to move away. It's many things compiling when we talk about human activities on impact on nature, right? And it is there. And when you travel slow, this is something that you really see and observe. So again, talking with the elders is where you see when they tell you stories about, oh, like 50 years ago we had, I don't know, cheetahs here, you know, we have elephants that they used to come to graze over here, and then they don't come anymore because, you know, it's gone because, you know, they cut the trees, deforestation or whatever. So all of these things are present, you know, and it's crazy to see sometimes, as I see in the news all over the world, that people say like, climate change is not real. No, come on, like, how come? Well, that's because maybe it's against their interest to say that it's real. That is the only people that will deny forever that, of course not, no, it's not there. It is real. I've seen it with my own eyes, human impact in a very slow, from the little things to the bigger scale, right? But I've seen it, and I can tell that this is because of human impacts that we are doing this. So Yeah, I mean, to conserve the planet is a long journey to go. Luckily, it's been agreements, you know, as we go between the most relevant nations of the world. They're swimming towards that direction of conservancy and sustainability for the planet, and that's the way where we have to go, because otherwise we care much about artificial intelligence, we care much about all these things that are popping out nowadays very easy, but we don't care much, or it seems like, yeah, the planet is there, but you know, it's holding it. The planet is holding it. Let's see how it
the most important thing.
It is the most important thing. If the planet is over, then what's, you know, my grandchildren or my children, like which planet are they going to live in? I want to leave a legacy for my children to live in a planet where they feel peace. They can still enjoy, for example, the snows of the Kilimanjaro, which are disappearing. You know, they can still enjoy the animals in the wild, you know, not being ambushed or being, you know, taken away of their environment. This is what it's about, and this is why my journey is about.
Yeah. Okay, as we wind up, you were chosen as the tourism ambassador for Zanzibar. How did that happen, and how are you taking that?
Well, I have to thank, first of all, because that happened thanks to one of my main partners, Merit Concept, which is my filming partner and media here in East Africa. They were absolutely great. They are with me now in this process of shooting the movie documentary in this section of the continent, because I cannot do everything myself. And they are the ones that, as my media partner, connected me to the government of Zanzibar. So everything started as a campaign, you know, as a new campaign for the Zanzibar government for sustainability. They have this campaign running right now called Greener Zanzibar, which I really connected about, which is more about like sustainability, tourism in the whole archipelago and all that. And I felt like, wow, this is great, like let's go and do it. And then as I was there, one thing came to another, and I just found myself in the parliament of Zanzibar being recognized by the ministry as the tourism ambassador of Zanzibar, of sustainable tourism ambassador in the whole world, if I can say. So it is an honor for me to be recognized in such a way, because it really aligns with what I believe in terms of sustainability. So I really carry with a huge honor that they chose me among all other people that they have, you know, chose or to have this recognition.
Okay. If you may just give people your social media handles so that they may keep up with the journey as we say goodbye.
Sure. My social media handle is Pablo Nimo on Instagram. And thank you very much for inviting me. I just want to finish thank you to all my sponsors, all my partners here in Kenya, Safari Trails, Hanspol. Thank you very much for having me. It's been a great pleasure.
All right. Thank you for coming through. All right, that is all we had right here on all the time we had right here on Good Morning Kenya. Make sure to follow Pablo Nimo, because I am also so curious and I cannot wait to see that documentary, the movie documentary. I am sure that it is going to be captivating. Until next time, which is tomorrow, same time and place, I have been your host, Vivian Degwa. Enjoy the rest of your viewing.
Good, right?
And now for a story of a dream come true.
Union Berlin have qualified for the Champions League for the first time in their history. They'll play amongst Europe's best next season. Their story is as unique as it is unbelievable.
We've always been Champions League for celebrating. Ultimately, we got quite a lot right. Not just the team, the whole club. Otherwise, it wouldn't happen.
Union Berlin, from the serene southeastern district of Köpenick. A small club who'll be taking on some huge names next season. the latest fairy tale turn, realized 4 years to the day after they first won promotion to the Bundesliga.
Say hello to the new kids on the Bundesliga block. Union have been promoted.
That playoff against Stuttgart, the way the crowd fired us up, the atmosphere those fans can generate here at the Alte Försterei, it's incredible.
Union Berlin won their first ever top-flight derby against Hertha, setting the tone for the years to come. This season past, they beat their relegation-bound city rivals at home and away. As for the Bundesliga's very best, they too had their difficulties at Union's home fortress in the woods.
Becker has scored a wonderful goal for Union Berlin. Unsere Nummer 27, Serrano. Neuer Spielstand. Erster FC Union Berlin. Bayern München. Und niemals vergessen.
Union went top of the table in early September and stayed there for the next 7 match days. Dortmund, beaten. Gladbach, Cologne and Wolfsburg, likewise. And the fans, these loud and loyal diehards, many of whom had accompanied them all the way up from the 5th tier, they could hardly believe it either.
We'd get our tickets and be up there on the terrace, never imagining that 20-odd years later we'd be playing in the same league as Bayern, not even in our dreams.
Every morning you've got to pinch yourself. It's not real, not normal.
Mentality. Union have that in absolute buckets. Players who put